everyone out there is doing in the live chat once again, and raid on Antifa out there with the shades. Thank you very much for the shades, my friend. Much appreciated as always. All right, all cringing yarling aside, guys. I apologize for that. I had to get it out of my system. Let's go ahead and get started with the news of the day over at Daily Caller. Democrats' popularity lower than the Dead Sea, CNN's Harry Enton says. So, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton said on Thursday that congressional Democrats have reached a record low level of popularity, which honestly does not surprise me in the least, after their complete lack of a post-mortem and coming to grips with reality after the 2024 election. They haven't done any of that at all. Instead, they've doubled down on some of the stuff, or most of the stuff, that lost them the election. So only 18% of voters approve of how congressional Democrats are managing their role, with 73% disapproving, according to a Quinnipiac University national survey of registered voters published on Wednesday. Apparently, I need to breathe in between sentences. Enton asserted on CNN News Central that the popularity numbers marked a significant downturn from October. Democrats, in the minds of the American public, are lower than the Dead Sea, which, I mean, that's a big statement, considering isn't, like, the Dead Sea the lowest, elevation on land, at least, in the entire world? Of course, it doesn't count the oceans, right? It's not deeper than the Mariana Trench, I don't think. But still, I mean, deepest land point in the world. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, the lowest ever. Ever. They've never been less popular than right now. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Minus 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating, he continued. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now. Host Kate Bolduan asked Enton about how Democrats view their own party's congresspeople. Democrats' net approval rating of congressional Democrats, I want you to keep in mind, they had never rated Democrats negatively until this year, the analyst said. And right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about a net approval rating from Democrats. This is Democrats on Democrats. Their approval rating is actually lower than the disapproval rating. And that is quite the drop from October. I think during the shutdown, there was a bit of a boost for Democrats, right? There was a rallying around the flag effect going on, but Democrats did not like how that shutdown turned out, he added. They have returned against Democrats in Congress. Moreover, a Reuters/Ipsos poll published on December 11th found that 46% of Americans aged 50 and older, who tend to vote in more non-presidential elections, and younger voters said they intended to vote for a Republican, while only 38% said they intended to vote for a Democrat. Democrats in November secured several key electoral wins in New York City, New Jersey, and Virginia. So there is that, once again, guys, from dailycaller.com. So I don't know, maybe this polling, we shouldn't always take polling, or probably should never take polling, like, super seriously. We should always take it with a grain of salt, right? Because polls can be fudged. Polls have been fudged a million times in this country, right? But I think, if anything, this shows that while there is a level of anxiety on the right now about the midterms, it's not all doom and gloom. And right now, the Democrats are having a massive popularity problem with even their own voters. And even worse, with independents. It seems that independents are certainly more on the conservative side of things lately. And that hasn't disappeared. I accidentally hit my button, guys. I apologize for that. But that hasn't disappeared. So, Paulie9363 out there says Jarl, bro, won. So there you go. Somebody else out there wants System of a Jarl. I really want it too, man. That would be freaking hilarious. Know Me For You says they aren't running on anything. They're just bitching about Trump. And yeah, 100%. Not going to win them an election, right? I just don't think it's anywhere near enough to win them an election. Just bitching about Trump. They have no vision for the United States. They have no ideas. The ideas that they do have, the policies they do have, the American people hate. So, yeah. Know Me For You says it would be pronounced soy, wouldn't it? System of a Jarl? Yeah, soy. That would be hilarious. Subpack that out there. Enjoyed the Jarl. Andy Joanne says, when you're with Pickles, you'll see that the news is not scary. There you go. 1,000%, my friend. Raid on Antifa out there with a can says, fucking nerd, and a couple laughing emojis. I'm glad I could give you a laugh today, my friend. Thank you very much for the can, bringing us to 6% to the goal for the day, and somebody out there stealthed me 55 gold pills, so whoever that was, thank you very much for that. Let's go ahead and check out the clip here from CNN. Harry Enton talking about the Democrats' poll numbers recently, and they are not doing well.
How are voters feeling about Democrats right now?
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
That's independents and overall, but what about Democrats on Democrats?
Yeah, what about Democrats on Democrats? So part of the reason overall is so low is independents are driving it low. But that's not the only reason it's so low. What about Democrats on Democrats? Democrats' net approval rating of congressional Democrats. I want you to keep in mind, they had never...
Guys, look at it. October, they were plus 22. They're now negative 6. They're not doing well, fam. This is really, really bad for the Democrats. Like, very bad. Real quick, Subpack Vet out there just gifted a 1-month bronze tier subscription claimed by Andy Joanne. Another 1-month bronze tier sub gifted by Subpack, claimed by Raid on Antifa. Subpack Vet, thank you very much for that, my friend. I really appreciate that. He says, Merry Christmas, fam. Much love to you, man. I really appreciate the generosity there. And congrats to Andy Joanne out there and Raid on Antifa, grabbing those bronze tiers. Let's continue here.
Rated Democrats negatively until this year. And right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about a net approval rating from Democrats. This is Democrats on Democrats. Their approval rating is actually lower than the disapproval rating. And that is quite the drop from October.
Did you guys hear that? Somebody farted on CNN. That was totally, somebody ripped one, dude. Hold on, we gotta, just listen. Just listen, guys. Somebody totally ripped one on CNN.
From Democrats. This is Democrats on Democrats. Their approval rating is actually lower than the disapproval rating, and that is...
Oh my God, did you guys hear that? Fartgate, dude. Freaking Fartgate. Oh my goodness. One more time.
Their approval rating is actually lower than the disapproval rating, and that is quite the drop from October. I think during the shutdown, there was a bit of a boost for Democrats, right? There was a rallying around the flag effect going on, but Democrats did not.
That is freaking hilarious. Ghost Rider out there says, Kate, you dirty bitch. Oh my gosh. We're off to a great start today, guys. Oh my gosh. Was it Harry? I like Harry, so I don't want to like embarrass Harry, man, because he's like the one guy that's been giving it to us straight, man. But say it, man. Don't fart it.
Like how that shutdown turned out. They have returned against Democrats in Congress, and you mentioned Dan Goldman in that intro. One of the
It was Kate, man. It was totally Kate.
Reasons that Dan Goldman is in trouble right now in a potential primary against Brad Ladner is because at this point the Democratic base is so upset with Democrats. So even if Democrats take back Congress, don't be surprised if Dan Goldman ain't there because of numbers like this one.
And this is quite a shift that you're looking at here. I mean, so this gets to the midterms, of course. What does this do to
J2 Dank with the freaking with the gif of Elmo? Oh man, I love you guys. Raid on Antifa says yes, straight methane. Yeah, nobody light a match at CNN, man. Holy cow.
Democrats' chances of taking back?
Oh my gosh, Subpack Vet says he must have upgraded his show to Smell-O-Vision. I love you guys sometimes more than life itself. All right, let's check. Let's continue here.
Majorities in Congress.
Yeah, we're talking about it. You mentioned it. What is this? 22-6. That's a 28-point decline falling through the floor. But, of course, the question is, can Democrats still take back Congress, even with their ratings as low as this? The answer is yes, but in my mind, it's definitely hurting them. Why do I say that? Because take a look at the generic congressional ballot with a Republican president at this point. Look, Democrats are ahead, but they're only ahead by 4 points. Historically, that is quite weak. At this point in the 2017, 2018 cycle, it was more than double that at 10 points. The same back during George W. Bush's second term in office, where you saw, of course, the Democrats were also ahead by 10 points. So we're talking about a lead of less than half what we normally expect.
Yeah, and I'm also hearing that President Trump's approval rating is better at this point in his presidency than Obama and Bush. So it's almost like this whole, oh, Trump is finished, and, oh, it's horrible, and he's just a faker, rhino, neocon. He's getting us into a war with Venezuela. Oh, my God, he's getting us into World War III by hitting Iran. This has been an ongoing, psyop against the right. Essentially trying to convince all of us that this is not what we voted for. That somehow President Trump is this ultimate failure and his administration is not going anywhere near how it was supposed to. This is not true. It's not true. Would we like things to go a little bit faster? Of course we would. Everybody would like things to go faster. But are we in this reality where Trump has betrayed us all and betrayed the voters and turned back on his campaign promises, blah 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 blah? No. Not at all. And it seems like there's just this astroturfed psyop nonsense that's trying to get us all to convince this to put our morale right in the shitter. So yeah, this is just something that came up in my mind as I'm watching these poll numbers here.
And I think that's why at this point there are a lot of Democrats who might be thinking, hey, we can spike that ball in the end zone. But the numbers at this point say, hold on just a minute. Yes, you're on your way to a congressional majority, but it's still a long time, and with numbers like this, considerably weaker than historically speaking, it might be a tougher road to hoe than normally.
Well, especially if you see that change from October.
And remember, guys, these polls on CNN and from many other places before the election. Before the election, guys, were saying that it was a toss-up between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Excuse me? A toss-up? What actually ended up happening in the 2024 election, guys? What ended up happening? Does anyone out there remember? Donald Trump won every single swing state by healthy margins. He won the popular vote. And then we clinched the Senate and the House all at once. They were calling that election a toss-up. For the midterms, they currently have Democrats at +4, which is pretty much a percentage point within where usually the margin of error is. So, I mean, I don't know. This just makes me a whole lot more confident walking into the midterms, man. A whole lot more confident. We have a little bit more of this clip left. We'll play the rest here.
Yeah, if you see, when you see your base going a 28-point shift, and when you see numbers like this, you see this overall.
A lot can change.
A lot can change. And at this point, you know what? Democrats are hoping that Donald Trump's unpopularity can ride them to a congressional majority. But you know what? When you have numbers like this, hold the phone just a second.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
John.
All right, so there is that, guys, once again from dailycaller.com. The real question is, who farted on that CNN segment? Who was the farter on the CNN segment? This is going to be a mystery for a long while. Maybe we should get Candace Owens on this one. Maybe Candace Owens can figure out who farted on CNN's Harry Enton segment, right? It'd be a good job for her, right? Ray Don Antifa says I'd be more worried about that DM than Venezuela. Yeah, dude. No doubt, man. No doubt. That whole thing with Taiwan, man, is very a potentially brutal flashpoint. I hope it doesn't happen, but yeah, we'll see. Andy Joanne says Pickles farted. If I could fart the exact same way 3 times in a row, that would be I could use that talent to make money. Trust me, I would be making money with that talent if I had that talent. Could you imagine if you could fart, Jarl? All right, we've taken it too far. We've taken it way too far. Andy Joanne says, tried getting a recording of Pickles singing my version of My Sacrifice. Is that part of the lyrics? Oh, it's in the style of When I'm With You, I'm Free. Okay. Hold on. Let me find it. Again. Oh, it wasn't in a gold pill. Where was it? Let me see here. Oh yeah, here we go. When you're with Pickles, you'll see I can't yarl that the news is not scary. Okay, that's enough. I can't yarl, guys. I'm not a yarler. Okay. That's a farl? Probably. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get back to it. From thegatewaypundit.com, Dems and House Oversight Committee released another set of cherry-picked Jeffrey Epstein estate photos, including excerpts of Lolita book written on a young woman's body. So here they go again with more basically useless Epstein photo releases. Of course, tomorrow's when the floodgates opens. It's when the legislation that President Trump signed will mandate that the DOJ release all the materials they have on Epstein, which I look forward to. Should be an interesting thing to cap off the week with. It's interesting it's happening on a Friday, too. I wonder if that was intentional. But anyways, Epstein's obsession with Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita is plain for all to see. As we approach tomorrow's deadline set by the Jeffrey Epstein Transparency Act, for the release of all materials in the Epstein investigation, the Dems on the House Oversight Committee continue to cherry-pick images to release to the public. Last week, they released 92 photos out of 95,000 that the committee has received from the late pedophile's estate in their effort to will into existence compromising material against Donald J. Trump that's just not there. Today, the Dems released a new tranche of photos. CBS News reported Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released a batch of 68 photos obtained from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein on Thursday, one day before the deadline for the Trump administration to release a much larger group of Epstein files. Photos show a pair of crossbows, a pill bottle of medication for urinary tract infection, gross, a series of passports from Lithuania, Ukraine, the Czech Republic, and Russia with identifying information blacked out, and ID cards. The next line shown near the person's hip, she was Lola in slacks, followed by an image of her neck displaying she was Dolly at school. The final image shows a line written along the person's spine, she was Dolores on the dotted line. Not seen in any images is the final line from the passage, but in my arms, she was always Lolita. Epstein kept a first edition copy of Lolita in the office of his New York City home. The novel is about a man's obsession with and sexual abuse of a 12-year-old girl. One photo shows billionaire Bill Gates with an unidentified woman whose face is redacted. Another features Epstein with famed linguist Noam Chomsky on a plane. Chomsky, excuse me. The photos lack context, but it's sometimes unclear what exactly they depict. Tomorrow the deluge is expected, so brace yourselves. So there is that, guys, once again from thegatewaypundit.com. I look forward to the larger release tomorrow. We shall see what ends up happening. All right, fam, let's go ahead and continue on from Breitbart.com. Jim Jordan says the Jack Smith deposition did not dispel any notion that the Trump investigation by Jack Smith was politically motivated. So essentially what he's saying is his testimony did not change any of their findings that they had already had, basically saying that, yes, this stuff was politically motivated. It was not on the up and up at all. They were doing this for the purposes of trying to swing the election in Kamala Harris's, or first Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris's favor. And I think they honestly felt that they needed to do so because Joe Biden was a vegetable and everyone basically knew it. And so they just, they were absolutely desperate to throw President Trump in prison, which would have basically made him unelectable. So yeah, my Nexus, Fartgate number 2 is something to look forward to. We get older, we get to walk across the room and fart with each step, even if we don't want to. That's disturbing, my friend. Although I have had that happen during a bout of, I can't remember if I had the flu or if it was food poisoning, but yeah, I think I've been in a similar place before. Anywho, let's go ahead and check out the clip here from Fox. It would not full screen for some reason. Sometimes these embedded videos, especially with this player, whatever the hell this player is, Akamai Adaptive Media Player, it sucks. Don't use Akamai if you're building a website because it will not full screen. Anyways, let's go ahead and check out the clip. I wish this was not on Hannity, but I'm only here to see, I'm only here to hear what Jim Jordan has to say about this. Spicy Chemist, good to see you out there, fellow Michigander.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is with us. Well, we had John Solomon on last night. What did we learn? That apparently the FBI was saying that you don't have probable cause, and they went in anyway. And then we have the issue of the dual system of justice, because Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, top secret, classified information, not covered by the Presidential Records Act. Nothing happened in those cases. Your reaction to what happened today?
Yeah. Well, Jack Smith testified for 7 hours, and none of that time did it change my belief, as you said, Sean, that this was all political. His investigation, like Alvin Bragg, like Fani Willis, was driven by politics. And the information that came out confirms what we had learned in a deposition with the former head of the FBI in the Washington field office, Mr. D'Antuono, when he said that when they did the raid on Mar-a-Lago on President Trump's home, that they shouldn't have done it. If they were going to go, they should have notified President Trump's lawyers. They should have accompanied them on the...
Yeah, it's insane that didn't happen, actually. Like, what the hell?
All these things that he said we should have done instead of how...
Spicy Chemist is saying, did you hear that Michigan gas tax is going up on January 1st? I'm not surprised, dude. Gretchen Whitmer and the entire Michigan administration, as well as our legislators, sucks fucking balls right now. Sorry for the F-bomb. I'm just really frustrated about it. So no, I did not hear about that, but it doesn't surprise me at all. Things are literally just going to keep continuing to get way, way, way freaking worse in Michigan until Gretchen Whitmer and her two little wicked witches of the North, as I like to call them, are out of effing power. That's the only thing that's going to change Michigan. It freaking sucks, man. It really sucks.
Was actually conducted by the Garland Justice Department. So I can't get into the details of Mr. Smith's testimony, but I will tell you he did not take the fifth like his deputies did. We have deposed 3 of his deputies. They took the fifth. A couple of them took the fifth multiple times, 70 and 71 times respectively. One of them
taking the fifth 70 and 71 times? Good Lord, man. Kind of tells me they have something to hide, obviously.
refer to the Justice Department because we believe he was truly obstructing our investigation. We don't do many of these referrals. The facts have to be there, and we did for Mr. Wyndham, one of his deputies. So I think we got some important information today, particularly on something we've talked about, you know, them using these, getting the phone logs. Think about this, Sean. The Speaker of the House, Jack Smith waits until Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House. Then he goes to the carrier, to AT&T, says, I want his phone records from 2 years prior.
It's just insane, dude. Like, look, if the people involved in this do not end up in prison, it will be such a massive, massive failure, dude. An unbelievable failure.
And I want them for a 2-month time period. And oh, by the way, we're going to go to a judge and tell AT&T, you can't tell your customer, the highest Republican in the government, that the government is getting his phone records. I mean, they know when he called someone, when someone called him, how long the call lasted, and if Kevin initiated it, they know where he was at when he did so. So we got into those kind of issues as well. But again, I can't get into the details of his response until we actually review the transcript and release that publicly.
Jim Jordan, that sounds an awful.
So if they're reviewing the transcript and they're going to release that publicly, then why the hell couldn't we have had this hearing in a public setting anyway, right? That doesn't make any sense to me, unless they release a transcript and it's full of redactions because there's maybe classified information or something in there. I get that. Just seems to me, though, that if they planned on releasing the transcript in the first place, wouldn't it have been more, what's the word I'm looking for? Efficient to just put a damn camera on in the room and show us what happened? I don't know. So there is that once again from Breitbart.com. And I will keep you guys updated on these investigations the Republicans are running into Jack Smith and others who tried to throw President Trump in prison on BS before the 2024 election. Next one here from the Daily Wire. The $7 million grocery ghost. How 2 Haitian immigrants ran a massive SNAP fraud ring. So, more fraud to talk about here. This time, Haitians are the suspects and not Somalis. Federal prosecutors in Massachusetts have charged 2 Haitian immigrants with orchestrating a nearly $7 million food stamp fraud operation, exposing yet another glaring failure in America's welfare oversight and raising familiar questions about how large-scale schemes thrive inside government programs billed as humanitarian. According to federal authorities, Antonio Bonhuer, a 74-year-old naturalized American citizen from Haiti, and Saul Alizme, a 21-year-old lawful permanent resident, ran 2 tiny bodegas in Boston's Mattapan neighborhood that bore little resemblance to legitimate grocery stores. Despite sparse shelves and minimal foot traffic, one store alone redeemed up to $500,000 in SNAP benefits in a single month, levels consistent with major supermarkets, not neighborhood corner shops. They continue on this story, but unfortunately it's paywalled because the people at the Daily Wire apparently think paywalls are cool. So I was going to say something else, but trying to keep myself reeled back a little bit today. But yeah, anyways, what you guys need to know is that Haitians stole $7 million in SNAP benefits by running a fraud ring where they were pretending to be a grocery store. They actually weren't a grocery store. They were just pocketing the effing money, I should say. So, yeah, just another reason why we should not be letting tons of immigrants into the United States, especially from places like Haiti and Somalia, because these people have no semblance of morality. They have no will at all to assimilate into our culture, and they certainly commit crime, even violent crime, at a much higher rate. And also, they commit fraud at an unbelievably higher rate than an actual American. So yeah, maybe we should stop bringing them the hell into our country. Maybe people like Tim Walz need to be held accountable for what they've done. Just saying. Raid says they'll redact the F out of it, man. You won't be able to actually read anything of substance. And maybe so. We shall see what happens, my friend. I don't know if I agree with that assessment, but I guess I wouldn't really be surprised if that's what ended up happening, though. So there it is. Moving on to the next one here from Zero Hedge. Taxpayers' money is still flowing to indicted fraud suspect, according to a Minnesota lawmaker. This is like the pinnacle, the absolute pinnacle, the absolute zenith, the unbeatable benchmark of incompetence. Like, there's no way you can get more incompetent than this as a state. Somebody's been indicted for fraud, and yet a state program is still funneling money into their freaking pocket. How the hell is this allowed to occur? How is this real? How is this reality, even in a messed up, backward place like Minnesota? A Minnesota lawmaker alleged on December 17th that a man awaiting trial on federal charges that he laundered $1.1 million in taxpayer money, and his wife continued to collect payments from other government programs, and a state lawmaker said December 17th. That's concerning, State Representative Kristen Robbins told the Fraud Fighting Committee that she chairs. This is just one example of how potential fraudulent activities being allowed to continue in Minnesota, she said during a hearing at the state capitol in St. Paul, Minnesota. Later, she alleged on social media that the state government continued to pay a fraudster who was indicted. With the help of whistleblowers, a public records researcher uncovered an intertwined web of people and entities allegedly tied to the man. Those connections are still receiving taxpayer dollars for assisted living facilities and adult day services despite multiple red flags indicating possible fraud, Robbins said. These revelations show that state agencies are failing to employ the most basic checks and balances to prevent and detect fraud, despite state agencies promising reforms, Robbins told fellow members of the Fraud Prevention and State Agency Policy Committee. The committee, 5 Republicans and 3 Democrats, has met regularly since February, trying to get a handle on the state's burgeoning fraud scandals. In recent weeks, Minnesota fraud cases have drawn national attention from multiple federal investigations. These scandals mostly involve federal programs that state programs administer while matching state contributions in some instances. The defendant, whom Robbins dubbed Person 1, allegedly received $49 million from state-run programs from 2019 to 2024, on top of the $1.1 million he's accused of laundering, she said. He's among 78 people charged since 2022 on the Feeding Our Future scandal, Fraudsters connected to that now defunct nonprofit agency reaped a total of nearly $250 million from the federal child nutrition program after falsely claiming to provide 91 million meals to needy children. Robbins alleged that Person 1 changed his name months before he was indicted for FOF and used his new name to purchase 2 homes that are operating as an assisted living facility that receives government money. One of those homes, Robbins alleged, was bought under the same business name tied to alleged money laundering in the FOF case. It is unbelievable, she said. What's more, Robbins said, the defendant's wife just recently purchased a 4th home that will become part of an assisted living facility that she operates and for which she was granted a temporary license in September. Homes that the accused man purchased or owned were still enrolled in state programs as recently as this October, Robbins said, noting that the wife has run the sites for 2 years after her husband's FOF indictment. One of the assisted living facilities that Person 1 administers has 4 beds. Despite this limited capacity, the facility was paid $826,000 in 2024 and was on pace to double that this year, Robbins said. We need to be concerned about that, she said, adding this home was purchased with cash, which is a red flag because there's a lot of money laundering going on in these spaces. Minnesota law allows the state to stop government program payments based on credible allegations of fraud, Robbins said. And my friends, if someone has been indicted in Feeding Our Future, that's a credible allegation of fraud, and they should not be getting state money for any other program. Robbins urged state agency leaders, at a minimum, any business with ties to Feeding Our Future indictments should receive higher scrutiny, especially if involved parties are also seeking money from other government programs. Any business owner should be checked to see if the owner has a history of other violations, she said. State agency officials who testified at the hearing included Dr. Brooke Cunningham, the state health commissioner. She testified about the large and growing assisted living industry, acknowledging a need for oversight. But Cunningham noted that healthcare professionals who are involved in licensing and on-site reviews did not process billing claims. Therefore, they would not be privy to financial matters. However, Cunningham said those staffers do pass along any concerns they notice to our partners who do handle the billing for those services and do investigate any sort of criminal activity. James Clark, Inspector General for the Department of Human Services, said the department is putting a 2-year pause on licensing new adult day centers. We're shifting staff so that they can squarely focus on existing adult day businesses, he said. Thus, he said, they can be more vigilant for signs of fraud. In addition, he said, we are aggressively suspending payments whenever investigators are seriously concerned about fraud. I'm sick of Medicaid fraud. I want to shut off payments to any provider that is stealing from us, Clark said, adding that he would welcome information from the committee. Robbins replied that the committee has not shared whistleblowers' disclosures with Clark's office because this fraud has been perpetuated on your watch, and the whistleblowers insist on confidentiality. The report being terrified, Robbins said, because many of them allege they were subjected to retaliation or surveillance when they previously tried to sound alarms about fraud. Committee members interviewed whistleblowers and relayed information to federal prosecutors, the FBI, and the Office of Legislative Auditor, all of whom have access to bank, health, and payment records that legislators cannot obtain, Robbins said. Robbins also said the Department of Human Services so far has responded to only 1 of her recent requests for data. 6 such requests remain unfulfilled. The Epoch Times sought a response from Clark's office and received no reply prior to publication. So there is that, guys. Once again, from from ZeroHedge.com. It looks like originally authored over at the Epoch Times, but there it is, once again, from Zero Hedge. And yeah, this is just absolutely freaking insane. Frankly, I think that the federal DOJ needs to start getting involved here because it sounds to me like state officials are not only complicit, but probably personally involved in this fraud as well. If the fraud is still continuing, or the money is still continuing to flow to the fraudsters, even after they've been indicted, that is a major, major red flag on the part of the state officials involved here. So I will keep you guys updated on this. I think this may blow up into a really, really, really big scandal, probably affecting a lot of states. But so far, it's just started up in Minnesota. So there it is. Busy all the time. Good to see you over there on Rumble. Hopefully your Thursday is going great. Moving into the next one here from the National Pulse, Trump administration intensifies efforts to revoke citizenship in fraud cases. So the Trump administration is preparing a significant expansion of denaturalization efforts seeking to revoke U.S. citizenship from foreign-born Americans who commit fraud during the naturalization process. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has been instructed to provide the Office of Immigration Litigation with between 100 and 200 denaturalization cases per month by 2026, a dramatic increase from historical levels. Denaturalization has long been an uncommon legal action. Fewer than 100 or 200 cases were filed over the past 8 years, and between 1990 and 2017, the federal government averaged roughly 11 cases annually, according to the Immigrant Legal Resource Center. The new targets would represent a sharp escalation as part of President Donald J. Trump's broader immigration enforcement agenda. Matthew Tregesser, a USCIS spokesman, defended the initiative, saying, "We will pursue denaturalization proceedings for those individuals lying or misrepresenting themselves during the naturalization process." Yeah, if your first act in this country, trying to get your citizenship is to lie, that should disqualify you. We look forward to continuing to work with the Department of Justice to restore integrity to America's immigration system. The Department of Justice has issued guidance directing attorneys to prioritize denaturalization cases involving alleged national security threats, serious criminal conduct, or material misrepresentations during the citizenship process. Pro-migrant organizations complain that the broad criteria could expand enforcement beyond traditionally narrow fraud cases. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates that approximately 26 million people in the U.S. are naturalized citizens, with about 800,000 gaining citizenship in the past year alone. The push aligns with other recent actions by the Trump administration aimed at tightening access to citizenship. The administration has also moved to deny visas to foreign nationals suspected of traveling to the United States to exploit birthright citizenship laws and has strengthened screening to prevent abuse of the system. In addition, Trump has ordered changes to make the citizenship test more rigorous, emphasizing civic knowledge and English proficiency. So there is that, guys, once again, from thenationalpulse.com. Frankly, I think there should also be a cultural litmus test on these people to determine whether or not they are actually going to assimilate into American culture. Because we don't want people bringing Western cultures over here, like Sharia law, and thinking they can just go ahead and replace our culture with their backwards, broken-ass one that they literally just fled from, right? So I think that needs to be a point in this as well. You should not be getting citizenship in this country if you cannot prove that you will be assimilating into the American culture and that you appreciate American culture, and that's part of the reason why you want to move here, is to get away from other cultures in the world that are backwards and freaking crazy. So there is that, once again, from thenationalpulse.com. And of course, I will keep you guys updated on all of the changes regarding immigration in this country. So far, the Trump administration is hitting the nail on the head, knocking it right out of the park when it comes to immigration. That's the one thing that I would give them a score of 100 out of 100 on, as far as what they've done. They've been really, it's been nothing short of incredible to watch what has happened since last January. So there is that. Moving on to the next one here from the Gateway Pundit. Michigan AG candidate Kevin Kijewski slams judicial activism, threatening border security after Obama-appointed judge spares Honduran illegal convicted of raping a woman with cerebral palsy extra jail time and praises him as a devoted family man and immigration ambassador. Yeah, this is an insane judge. Frankly, this judge should be impeached for this because she just put people in freaking danger. A Michigan federal judge, and of course, this is what she looks like. How does that not surprise me? That's what this crazy person looks like. Appointed by former resident Barack Obama, is facing intense criticism from the incoming Trump administration and conservatives. What do you mean incoming? This is, we've been around for a year now, Gateway Pundit, for her decision to impose no additional prison time on an illegal immigrant convicted of raping a woman with cerebral palsy and for praising him during sentencing. That's right, guys. Illegal immigrant rapist that raped a disabled woman not only gets let off the hook by this judge, but gets praised as a dedicated family man by the judge. This judge should have her black robes ripped off of her, and she should be thrown in a freaking jail cell for this. This is completely and utterly unacceptable by any member of our government, especially of the judiciary branch. Like, the judiciary branch is supposed to be the least political branch. They're supposed to be the most grounded in constitutional principles branch. Is this grounded in constitutional principles? Absolutely freaking not, dude. This is just pure Marxism, social justice warrior, suicidal empathy bullshit that we cannot afford to keep doing in this country. Edis Renan Membreno Diaz, a 30-year-old Honduran national who illegally entered the U.S. at least 7 times after prior deportations, pleaded guilty in 2022 to raping and sodomizing a vulnerable woman with cerebral palsy and cognitive delays. He dragged her into the laundry room of her apartment building during the assault and is currently serving a 6 to 15-year state prison sentence with possible release as early as July 2028. In a separate federal case for illegal reentry, where prosecutors sought an additional 19 to 24 months, U.S. District Judge Judith Levy sentenced him in August 2024 to time served, about 5 months, plus a fine. She openly commended Diaz for his family devotion, his willingness to take low-wage jobs, and his potential to serve as an ambassador for living up to our immigration restrictions. What? By warning others in Honduras against illegal entry. Oh my God. Kevin Kajewski, who is running for the Republican nomination for Michigan Attorney General, warns in an op-ed he shared with the Gateway Pundit that judicial activism is threatening the security of our border. And it's threatening our entire country, not just the security of our border, but it's a massive threat, dude. Think of judges like this letting regular criminals off the hook who will go on to victimize other people in violent acts. This has happened over and over and over and over and over again in our country. And frankly, I'm sick and damn tired of watching it happen because of these idiotic, short-haired, brimmed glasses, Marxist, cucked-out, retarded judges. Why do we have to live like this? We don't have to live like this. We can throw these judges in frickin' prison and be done with it. Can we please throw these judges in prison? Please. Please, for the love of all that is good and holy, can we imprison these monsters? They're monsters, guys. They're evil. I just can't handle it anymore, dude. As the Republican candidate for Michigan Attorney General, nothing angers me more than seeing our justice system fail the most vulnerable among us. A recent federal court decision in Detroit exemplifies this failure. U.S. District Judge Judith Levy, an Obama appointee, declined to impose additional prison time on Edis Renan Membrano Diaz, a Honduran national who illegally re-entered the U.S. at least 7 times. At least 7 times. Diaz had been convicted in state court of serious crimes, yet Judge Levy praised him as a potential ambassador for migrants and opted against consecutive sentencing for his repeated illegal re-entries. Judge Levy's outrageous ruling issued on December 12th reveals a clash between activist judges in federal efforts to secure our borders. Prosecutors sought up to 2 additional years under 8 U.S. Code 1326, but the judge imposed the only time served, about 5 months, concurrent with his state sentence. The Department of Justice has appealed, arguing it undermines enforcement. Diaz could be released as early as July 2028, followed by deportation, having evaded full consequences for his violations. This isn't justice, it's judicial overreach that erodes public trust in border security. As Michigan's next Attorney General, I will champion strict immigration law enforcement, partner with ICE under President Trump's administration, and ensure accountability that puts American citizens first. The core problem is recidivism and illegal reentry. Diaz's 7 entries since at least 2019 demonstrate that prior deportations failed to deter him. Nationally, U.S. Customs and Border Protection data show recidivism rates reached 27% in fiscal year 2021, meaning over a quarter of apprehensions involved repeat crossers. While southwest border encounters have dropped sharply to about 47,330 between ports of entry in December 2024, per CBP's latest update, the persistence of repeat offenders strains resources and signals inadequate deterrence. Federal law rightly treats aggravated illegal reentry seriously, with penalties up to 20 years under 8 U.S. Code 1326B for those with prior convictions. Yet downward departures, like in this case, where guidelines favor consecutive time, send a message that consequences are negotiable. The DOJ's appeal aligns with renewed border security priorities of President Donald Trump to protect Americans. Broader statistics highlight risks from criminal non-citizens. CBP's fiscal year 2024 data report thousands of encounters with individuals having prior criminal convictions, including serious offenses. In Texas, the only state tracking immigration status and arrests systematically, Department of Public Safety records from 2011 through late 2025 show over 334,000 illegal immigrants charged with more than 592,000 offenses, including thousands for homicide, assault, and sexual crimes. While debates persist on overall immigrant crime rates, the presence of criminal non-citizens underscores dangers when enforcement weakens. As of mid-2024, ICE reported over 662,000 non-citizens with criminal histories on its national docket, including non-detained, many with serious convictions. Lenient rulings counteract intensified enforcement, including record removals. As Michigan's next Attorney General, I pledge to aggressively support federal deportation of criminal aliens, challenge judicial activism, weakening immigration laws, prioritize prosecuting public safety threats, and collaborate with ICE and Border Patrol. Border security is national security. Repeat illegal entries are not victimless. They burden taxpayers, overload law enforcement, and endanger communities when offenders re-enter. This case is symptomatic of a flawed system. We must enforce laws as written, impose real consequences to deter recidivism, and prioritize Americans. Let's secure our borders and restore the rule of law. Together we'll make Michigan and America safe again. So there is that. Once again, from thegatewaypundit.com, I really, really, really hope that very soon we will not have a Democrat state government in Michigan, because they have come dangerously close to irreparably damaging our state. And it's really, really quite unfortunate, because in many other aspects, Michigan is just a wonderful place to be. We have some unbelievably beautiful places in Michigan to visit, great state parks. We have tons of lakes, great weather during the summer, really nice falls actually as well. The winters can be a little bit brutal, but yeah, just Michigan's just a wonderful place to be, except the politicians. The politicians, man, they freaking suck, and the Michigan GOP is basically next to useless. So it's rough, guys. It's very rough. Subpack Vet says start with Soros, then these shits will actually be terrified, then arrest these fuckers. Yeah, maybe so, my friend, maybe so, but I'll tell you what, something needs to be done about these judges. I think that we need new legislation that makes it a whole lot easier to remove judges from the bench when they make repeated rulings like this that are just completely and utterly nonsensical and will end up leaving somebody victimized by somebody that they just felt too bad for to sentence properly. So there is that, once again, from thegatewaypundit.com. Next one here from Breitbart. Tyler Robinson joked that conservatives will catch a bullet and mocked attempted Trump assassin. Charlie Kirk assassin suspect Tyler Robinson made jokes about how conservative figures will catch a bullet one day and mocked attempted Trump assassin Thomas Matthew Crooks for failing to shoot straight. Robinson, who once bragged about being able to hit a 400-yard shot, began openly adopting left-wing stances after getting into a relationship with his transgender roommate, whom he was seen physically coddling while the trans cried over politics, friends, and former colleagues, told the Washington Post. The newspaper spoke with 21 people who knew Robinson and examined hundreds of messages the assassin suspect exchanged online, as well as in a Discord server, where a group of private chat rooms over the past 5 years. Robinson's friends and former co-workers reportedly describe him as a quiet person who mostly kept to himself and was difficult to get to know. They also noted that he initially had a F both of them attitude toward the two major U.S. political parties. But friends say they noticed changes after Robinson began dating his transgender roommate, who after the 2024 election persistently complained about politics and lamented over conservative figures, anti-trans sentiment in Utah, and receiving funny looks from people. On more than one occasion, friends saw Robinson physically cradling his transgender partner to comfort him while he sobbed over politics. In one instance, the trans roommate repeatedly shouted, "Shut up," at a friend who had started to say something about transgender athletes as Robinson sat silently on a nearby couch, two people said. Eventually, Robinson himself began voicing concern for transgender rights. One person who was close to him at the time told WAPO. Robinson also began criticizing conservatives, accusing them of fear-mongering over transgender issues, and complained about conservative figures in the news, including President Donald Trump, according to one person who spent a significant amount of time at his apartment. One Discord message reportedly shows Robinson reacting to the July 13th, 2024 assassination attempt against Trump by poking fun at the wannabe assassin for being unable to shoot straight. Another friend told the newspaper that when drunk, Robinson would occasionally joke about right-wing politicians and recalled hearing him say something like, "That guy's gonna catch a bullet one day." On September 10th, Charlie Kirk was fatally shot at Utah Valley University while having a conversation with a student about mass shootings committed by transgender individuals. A little bit ironic, but tragically so. Utah Governor Spencer Cox later revealed that bullet casings in the rifle allegedly used by Robinson were etched with a variety of messages, including one that read, "Hey fascists, catch." A former co-worker who worked with Robinson while he apprenticed for electrical contractors told the Washington Post that Kirk's assassin suspect once boasted to fellow electricians that he was able to hit a 400-yard shot. After Kirk's assassination, Utah Valley University issued a statement noting shots were fired from a building about 200 yards away. Kirk was known in part for his online videos debating college students across the country and was often smeared by left-wing activists as hateful and anti-trans, despite his conversations with transgender students showing otherwise. One person who knew the suspect in high school told the Washington Post that he remembers Robinson saying he did not like hateful people. After the killing, Robinson sent a message to his trans partner, writing, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out," according to charging documents. A little over an hour after Kirk was shot, Robinson appeared eager to talk to someone about the attack and took to Discord to message a friend, writing, "You see this news?" The Washington Post reported. Utah gets a national headline for the first time in a while, and someone sliming Charlie Kirk, Robinson continued, adding he's reported dead and the footage looks bad. Later that day, Robinson joined two other friends in a Discord voice chat where he continued discussing the assassination. One person told the newspaper that Robinson was short of breath and seemed to be outside. "He got hit pretty bad. I'm pretty sure he's dead," the friend recalled Robinson saying. Robinson's parents later saw released security camera images showing a person of interest in the shooting and noticed the suspect resembled their son. After telling him to come to their house so they could talk, they eventually persuaded Robinson to turn himself in. His mother, meanwhile, told authorities that Robinson recently started to lean a lot more to the left and had become more pro-gay and trans rights oriented, noting that her son had started dating a transgender roommate. Several of the friends who regularly spent time at Robinson's apartment told the Washington Post that by early spring, they started to see less of him and his transgender partner. In recent months, their communication with Robinson had been reduced to online interactions that had grown sporadic, they added. It would be occasionally a little talk, playing a game online, one friend said, and then he killed Charlie Kirk. So there is that, guys, once again from Breitbart.com. Absolutely insane, and just goes to show that I think there needs to be a larger national conversation about this transgender bullshit and how it can spiral into much more serious mental health problems that can lead to violence, as we've seen repeatedly with these leftist transgender terror attacks. So there is that. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the next one here, which comes from the Gateway Pundit. Are they just crazy? It's a good question. California court will actually decide on whether being a radical leftist is actually a mental illness. It'll be hilarious, actually, if they rule that yes, when you are this far left, the only way you can be classified is as a mental illness statistic. So President Trump often uses the term left-wing lunatics to describe the behavior of radical left politicians, and he's not wrong, they are lunatics. Now, finally, an official court proceeding in the U.S. is set to rule on whether radical left politics is a mental illness. The case involves Riddhi Patel, a 28-year-old Indian-American leftist activist who identifies as non-binary. They, quote-unquote, were born and raised in Bakersfield, California, and worked as an economic development coordinator for the Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment, a nonprofit environmental justice organization that focuses on supporting low-income and marginalized communities. In her job, Patel highlighted intersectionality within environmental justice and collective liberation for oppressed communities. Patel reportedly volunteered for the Bernie Sanders 2020 presidential campaign as well. In April 2024, Patel appeared at a city council meeting in Bakersfield, California. She stepped up to the microphone and delivered a furious speech about Gaza, metal detectors, oppressors, and revolution. She concluded her remarks with a blunt threat to the elected officials, quote, "We'll see you at your house, we'll murder you." The statement stunned those in attendance. Council members halted the meeting and had Patel arrested. Prosecutors charged her under California Penal Code Section 422, which criminalizes willful threats to commit acts that could result in death or great bodily injury. Bail was initially set at $2 million, later reduced to $500,000, and Patel was released pending further proceedings. Over the next year and a half, the case moved through Kern County courts with multiple delays. On November 4th, 2025, Patel's attorneys requested a postponement to pursue a mental health evaluation, arguing she might qualify for California's mental health diversion program. On December 2nd, 2025, the court ordered a second mental evaluation and scheduled a diversion hearing for January 27th, 2026 on the case. Mental health diversion in California courts is a program designed for individuals whose criminal behavior is driven by clinical mental illness. Defendants can receive mental health treatment instead of facing traditional criminal prosecution. To be eligible, a defendant must be clinically diagnosed with a mental disorder. Also, a qualified mental health expert must state that the defendant's mental disorder, which motivated the criminal behavior, would respond to mental health treatment. However, Patel's rhetoric at the council meeting was not a one-off explosion. Prior to its removal, Patel's biography on the CRPE website stated that she enjoys holding elected officials accountable. Patel attended council meetings frequently and inhabited a far-left world where nearly every institution and opposing opinion is labeled fascist, oppressive, or genocidal. One of the defining traits of the modern left is its emotional inability to tolerate disagreement. Rather than engaging in civilized debate, many leftists respond with outrage, dismissal, and personal or even physical attacks when confronted with opposing political viewpoints. Patel's outburst reflects a broader national issue. Leftist activists like Patel increasingly act as though they can intimidate or openly threaten government officials and conservatives without fear of consequence, particularly when they believe their views are protected by alignment with the media and a dominant political party. Accountability is simply not expected. If Ridhi Patel's mental health evaluations come back with an official opinion that she suffers from mental disorders and mental illness, this will be an important milestone. And if the California court then dismisses Patel's case, saying Patel's threats were the product of a diagnosable mental disorder and not merely political passion, the Patel case will reverberate far beyond the single courtroom in Kern County. Such a ruling would force an uncomfortable reckoning for the left. For years, extreme leftist rhetoric has been normalized, even celebrated as speaking truth to power. But politics does not suspend the basic standards of mental health, nor does moral certainty exempt individuals from the consequences of losing control and behaving like genocidal monsters. A Ridhi Patel ruling of mental illness will implicitly acknowledge that radical leftist political behavior is not simply an expression of belief, but a manifestation of psychological dysfunction that impairs judgment, self-control, and moral reasoning. Passionate disagreement is the lifeblood of democracy, while intimidation and threats are its poison. If the California court concludes that Ridhi Patel's threats stem from mental illness rather than legitimate political views, it will provide a new national definition for the radical left. They can simply be referred to as untreated mental patients. So, there is that, guys, once again from thegatewaypundit.com. And here is the clip of Ridhi Patel's insane rant, where she throws a threat in, which she did get arrested for. Time shall tell whether the California court decides to call this mental illness to save her from prison, or if they'll go the other way and just put her in prison so that we can't call leftists literally mentally deranged, like at a clinical level. Absolutely hilarious, might I add. I think this is just like purely comical that we may actually be able to legitimately say very soon, as a basis of like judicial fact, that far left people are literally insane. But let's go ahead and take a look.
It's very clear to me, as someone who's been an organizer for the past couple of years, that none of you care, because you guys don't care about anything happening in Palestine or any other country where oppression occurs, because you don't care about the oppression occurring here. And I understand that you guys are all horrible people, but the thing is, 2,300 people being evicted in the last year, those are votes. And you guys, those are votes to win here in Bakersfield. And while you guys parade Gandhi around as a Hindu holiday called Chaitra Navratri starts off this week, I remind you that these holidays that we practice, that other people in the global south practice, believe in violent revolution against their oppressors. And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you motherfuckers. The increased criminalization for no need other than you don't like when people come and hold you guys accountable for introducing ceasefire resolutions, because the only escalation in violence has been by you all. And so there's no need to continue. In the last 5 years I've attended city council meetings, there's never been metal detectors, there's never been more cops. The only reason you're doing it is because people actually don't care if you guys don't like them, and they're actually resisting, so you want to criminalize them. So regardless of whether you elect people into office, they'll backstab you, they'll let you die, and for that reason, you guys want to criminalize us with metal detectors, we'll see you at your house. We'll murder you.
Next speaker, please.
Lance, followed by Kev, followed by Valeria.
Ms. Patel.
All right. So, there is that, guys, once again from thegatewaypundit.com. And real quick, I'm being told by Subpack Vet that there's something going on out there. He says, dropped you a DM, news cycle is popping right now. You might want to check the headlines over at the Gateway Pundit. Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and pull up the Gateway Pundit here. And we'll take a look at some stuff coming out. Person of interest identified. We've got that story from earlier. I'll check the DM as well. Why am I not seeing any new DMs coming in, actually? What the hell is going on here? I feel like Pill is having an issue with DMs. There we go. Yeah, if I close it and reopen it, then it comes up. It's a bit weird. Okay, yeah. FBI raids Somali-owned health services business in Minnesota. So we have more on this fraud stuff. Is that the only thing, Subpack Vet, that you are referring to? Or are there multiple fronts of, like, breaking news right now that I need to be privy to? Let me know. I'll cover this real quick. Alright, so FBI raids Somali-owned health services business in Minnesota as Medicaid fraud exceeds $9 billion. So the FBI on Thursday raided a Somali-owned health services business in Bloomington, Minnesota, after the Health and Human Services Department flagged it for fraud. FBI agents were spotted carrying boxes out of Somali-owned Ultimate Home Health Services. Fox 9 reported FBI agents raided the offices of a Bloomington business on Thursday, days after the state of Minnesota suspended a business license at that address citing fraud. A Fox 9 crew witnessed FBI agents and other federal investigators carrying boxes from a business in a plaza off 17th Avenue South near Old Shakopee Road East. The business is located in a suite next to a pizza shop, an Asian market, and a laundromat. Inside the building, there was damage to a door belonging to Ultimate Home Health Services, which appeared to have been forced open. A letter dated December 5th shows the Department of Human Services had suspended the license for Ultimate Home Health Services, a home and community-based service, citing the risk of fraud. This immediate suspension is based on a determination that persons served by your program are at an imminent risk of harm, and because the holder and controlling individual are the subjects of a pending administrative action related to fraud against the program, which is administered by a state agency, the letter states. The letter goes on to say that the state determined clients for the business were not required services. A client who died hadn't been reported, and staff had provided false information to DHS licensors. The letter also states that the license holder is already facing administrative action for fraud against the program. Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson on Thursday said the Somali fraud may have ballooned to $18 billion. The fraud's not small. It isn't isolated. The magnitude cannot be overstated, Thompson said. What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes. It's a staggering industrial-scale fraud. It's swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state, he said. Minnesota's Democrat Governor Tim Walz responded to the latest update from Thompson. Walz is facing calls to resign after he allowed the Somali community in Minnesota to steal billions of dollars in taxpayer money through fraudulent Medicaid services, and frankly, Walz should end up in prison over this as well. He basically ignored this entire thing. He knew that it was happening. He let it slide because he didn't want to piss off the Somalis on a political level. Totally something he should end up in prison over for a long time, too. After ignoring the Somali fraud rings for years, Tim Walz is now acting like he supports law and order. Today's charges are exactly the type of strong action we need from prosecutors to put fraudsters behind bars, he said. That's why we shut down Housing Stabilization Services and hired an outside firm to audit these programs and stop payments to fraudulent providers, Walz said. We will not tolerate fraud, and we'll continue to work with our federal partners to ensure fraud is stopped and fraudsters are caught, Walz added. So, there is that, guys, once again, from thegatewaypundit.com. We have a minute, 27-second clip here to take a look at regarding this, and Subpack Vet says there are two more stories that I should probably cover on a breaking basis here, so we'll go ahead and do that, too. Thank you for the DM, Subpack Vet, as always. I really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the clip here.
I spoke in the fall about the ice.
And keep in mind, guys, this clip's audio is left channel only, unfortunately, so you are going to have to use your left earbud if you are listening with earbuds. Yeah, you're only going to hear it in your left ear, guys, and there's unfortunately nothing I can do about it. I really wish there was like an automatic leveling thing in OBS or something that would fix this. That would be great if I could have a Stream Deck button for that. I may look into that and see if there is some sort of plug-in or something I can use for that, because this is just ridiculous. Anyways, here we go.
I spoke in the fall about the iceberg I saw ahead. Something's fraud that's much larger than what's been visible to the public. When I said that, it wasn't hyperbole or rhetoric, it was a warning. And today I want to talk and I want to show here a sense of what that iceberg looks like, because I think people deserve to know what that is and how big this problem is, because we can't solve the problem until we grapple with the size of it. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services pulled the claims data for these 14 programs dating back to 2018. And those 14 programs in Minnesota have cost $18 billion since 2018, and more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. So that's a sense of the magnitude of the problem. These are the 14 Medicaid programs, which is just a part of Medicaid, these waivered services that have been flagged as having issues with program integrity and fraud. Now, I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud. It's not the $1 million question, that's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much, and the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know it's...
All right, guys, so there is that. Once again, story coming out of the Gateway Pundit, and big shout out to Subpack Vet who sent me the story here. Fever Flav out there says, I was driving earlier, but I had to tell you the Yarling was hysterical. Pixels, much love, brother. Thank you very much, Fever Flav. I'm glad that I could give you a laugh, my friend. That was the absolute goal, guys, to give you all a nice laugh. What the hell is going on with that up there, man? What the frick? Excuse me. Oh. There we go. I accidentally zoomed Hilden. That was weird. Okay, all right, we figured it out. So yeah, once again, at Fever Flav, thank you very much for the great comment there. I appreciate that, and glad I could give you a laugh. That was the goal, my friends, giving you guys a quick laugh at the start of the show. Also, I'm noticing, that's cool, right? But then that looks bad. So I don't know, maybe I need to figure that out. I suppose I could put that in front of the cam. Let's see here. We'll just... Oh, no, that did not work at all. Oh, whoa. We don't want that. We do not want that. That didn't work either. Oops. Hold on, guys. I gotta undo whatever that was. That's better. Alright, yeah, we're good. Alright, sorry about that, guys. That was just gonna drive me absolutely up the wall. I noticed that. Oh, now it's doing it again. Oh, yeah, because I've got... Oh, okay, never mind. Alright, you know what? I give up. I'll have to do that later, guys. I'll have to do that later, because part of what my button does there is it changes like what layer it's on, so that like when I'm in full screen like this, I can do this with my chat and bring it up real quick. So yeah, all right, I give up. Sorry for the random OBS effery there, guys. Let me pull up this other story from Subpack Vet. Oh, and those DMs are showing up now too, so that's cool. Very cool indeed. Pull up this story here, and then we will pull up this story here. All right, we got two more here sent in from Subpack Vet from the Gateway Pundit. We'll go ahead and cover these real fast. Next one here from the Gateway Pundit. Soros DA ignores ICE detainer and releases El Salvadorian illegal who allegedly commits murder the next day. So again, just another completely and totally unacceptable situation here. This Soros DA, frankly, belongs in prison. So Marvin Morales Ortez, 23 years old and illegal from El Salvador, was released from custody after the Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, led by Soros-backed attorney Steve Descano, dropped a case against him for charges of allegedly brandishing a gun and assaulting and injuring someone. Fox News' Bill Malhusian notes he was released back onto the streets after an ICE detainer was ignored. The next day, it is alleged he is responsible for the murder of a man found dead in a home in Reston, Virginia, according to the Fairfax County Police Department. Before the latest incident, Morales-Ortiz allegedly had a lengthy criminal record. WJLA News reports court records indicate that since 2020, Morales-Ortiz had been charged with at least 7 crimes in Fairfax County. Per WJLA, Sean Kennedy with Virginians for Safe Communities, who has been highly critical of Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano, said Morales-Ortiz never should have been out of jail and able to allegedly commit a homicide on Wednesday. This is not an outlier. This is the rule of thumb for this office, Kennedy said. This individual is likely to commit more crimes. They knew it and they didn't care. Fairfax County Police shared on X. The Fairfax County Police Department is aware Marvin Fernando Morales-Ortiz was released by a general district court order from the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center yesterday. After his release, a Community Services Board clinician obtained an emergency custody order from Morales-Ortiz. An ECO is valid for 8 days, I'm guessing, after issuance by a magistrate. They just said it's valid for 8. 8 what? I don't know. But congratulations to the Gateway Pundit once again. FCPD Arreston District Patrol officers were then dispatched to serve the ECO and take Morales-Ortiz into custody. FCPD patrol officers responded to the address of record for Morales-Ortiz and did not locate him at his residence. The ECO expired shortly thereafter. An ICE spokesman noted Fairfax County failed the victim by refusing to work with ICE and releasing this criminal alien onto Virginia streets instead of safely into ICE custody. If Fairfax County would have simply worked to uphold our nation's laws, then this tragedy may never have happened. Or may have never happened. Descano was elected in 2019 with significant financial support from the Justice and Public Safety PAC, a political action committee primarily funded by George Soros. And everything that George Soros has touched should literally be banned from the United States when it comes to NGOs or PACs. Literally every single one of them in which George Soros is even a little bit involved should be completely and totally outlawed in this country. Just like everywhere else in the world he's been freaking kicked out of. He's been kicked out of a lot of countries, guys, for a good freaking reason. He's a subversive, evil, Marxist little piece of shit, George Soros is. Many other nations have realized this and kicked his ass out. Why can't we? Key details from campaign finance reporting and media coverage. In 2019, the PAC contributed amounts ranging from $459,000 to $601,000 plus to Descano's campaign, representing a majority, up to 72% of his total funds. Additional contributions in later cycles brought the total from this PAC to over $627,000 between 2019 and 2023. The PAC is part of Soros's broader efforts to support progressive prosecutor candidates nationwide, often through entities like his Open Society Foundations or related groups. So there is that, guys. Once again, from thegatewaypundit.com, another Soros DA, through their retarded actions, getting an American killed by an illegal immigrant. Next one here comes from the Gateway Pundit. LGBTQ activist with deep ties to New Jersey Democrats charged after allegedly assaulting foster child. This sounds pretty damn serious. Nylon Camel with a can out there. Says, happy Thursday, much love. Thank you very much for the can, Nylon Camel, as always, and happy Thursday right back at you. Much love, my friend. Always appreciate seeing you out there and appreciate the support. Polly9363 out there with a very generous phone. Thank you very much for the phone. Much appreciated as always. Know Me For You says, OCD squirreled. Yeah, 1000%. That's exactly what happened, my friend. Subpack Vet says, as far as I'm concerned, these radical judges should be jailed for public endangerment, and I could not agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. And he says, and prosecutors, yeah, 100%. Both the judges and prosecutors who failed to do their job should be jailed for public endangerment, because that's exactly what they're doing. Let's not beat around the bush here. That's exactly what they're doing, and anybody out there that pretends that's not the case is honestly stupid. Andy Joanne out there with a shade says delayed shades for singing your new jam. Thank you very much, Andy Joanne, for the shades, my friend. As always, I really appreciate that. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one here, which is also sent to me by Subpack Vet from the Gateway Pundit. Another disturbing scandal is rocking the Democrat political ecosystem in New Jersey, this time involving one of the state's most prominent LGBTQ activists with close ties to top Democrat officials. Christian Fuscarino, 35 years old, the longtime executive director of Garden State Equality, New Jersey's largest and most influential LGBTQ advocacy organization, has been criminally charged. He was charged with a second-degree charge of endangering the welfare of a child, along with 2 counts of simple assault. Fuscarino was arrested by Neptune City Police after authorities reviewed security camera footage that allegedly captured the violent incident inside a home on November 9th. According to an affidavit obtained by NJ.com, Fuscarino is accused of yanking the boy from his bed, smacking him in the face with an open hand multiple times, and repeatedly shoving the child into a wall. Another person inside the home reportedly alerted authorities to the alleged abuse. More from NJ.com, the child was taken by a caretaker to the Monmouth County Child Advocacy Center, a facility in Freehold that investigates claims of child abuse. A forensic interview was conducted at the center with no disclosure of physical abuse, the affidavit states. But another person living in the home came forward and confirmed that he saw Fuscarino hit the victim and intervened, the affidavit states. The incident was captured on a home security video system, according to the affidavit. Investigators with the state's Division of Child Protection and Permanency acquired the video and notified the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office on November 20th. Is it Monmouth or Monmouth? Let me know. The affidavit says Fuscarino told a resource worker that there had been an episode of physical contact between himself and the child, but he did not provide details. Garden State Equality initially placed Fuscarino on leave before announcing his resignation. Garden State Equality takes allegations against our staff seriously, and we oppose violence of any kind. When we learned about the charge against Mr. Fuscarino, we immediately placed him on leave. We respect the courts and will allow that process to be handled by them. We will continue our important work with our acting executive director, they said. So there is that, guys, once again from thegatewaypundit.com. It does not come as a surprise, but this I think just exemplifies what kind of people we're actually fighting against. The Democrats, they love to pretend and act like they're big, bubbly, warm, furry balls of innocence, and all they want is peace and love and equality and whatnot. That could not be further from the truth. They literally want conservatives freaking dead. These people are in support of sexually grooming children, and now we find out that, one of the people involved in left-wing politics in this country literally beats children. So, this whole act that they put on of being like the nicest people in the world and super tolerant and against violence and all this crap, it could not be further from the truth. It is nothing but a big, fat freaking lie. The fact of the matter is that the left is full of sexual maniacs, depraved morons, and absolute freaking lunatics. That is what we're dealing with. So there is that, guys, once again from thegatewaypundit.com. Two-way lowrider out there with a shade says, can confirm nylon camel is awesome. Thank you very much, two-way lowrider, for the shades. As always, I really appreciate that. And yes, I have, I think, the best viewers in the world out there. The 25 of you guys that are out there on Pilled, you guys mean a lot to me. So, as always, much love to you guys. And also, wow, just now coming in from Red Pill 78, yet another raid. We have like 631, 32. It's climbing, actually, people watching. What's going on, guys? Good to see you out there. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Thursday. We still have a lot of news to get into, by the way. We've barely scratched the surface here. We're on this tab you can see how many that we have open. So, and we'll take you guys over on Rumble and other platforms at least to the halfway mark there. So looking forward to that. So yeah, welcome, guys. Welcome in, and thank you guys all for tuning in here. And thank you once again to Red Pill 78 out there with that amazing raid. That's a lot of people, man. Yes, furry balls, Red Pill 78 wife. Good to see you out there. Smay 60s, what's going on? Red Pill 78 wife again. Critter Sitter, DJT in foil. Chrono Viewer, Andrew J. Washir, The Ninth Plague, Jolly Roger, I think. Steve Mod 52, Curtis Good, Time Traveling Hipster, DJ Tinfoil. That's a great username, DJ Tinfoil. I like it. Once again, it's just good to see all you guys out there. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody out there. Rock Cuts, R. Stanley 76, Hell's Bay, Marguerite Carlin. I think I said that right. Probably not. There's a lot of people out there. So good to see you guys. There's like 800 people over on Rumble. That's a lot of freaking people, man. So if you guys are not familiar with what we do over here, we just cover news, man. That's the main goal. We cover news. I do at sometimes put some, of my commentary out there and what I have to say, but usually we have upwards of sometimes up to like 50 articles to cover in a day. So we really just rapid fire, put it out there. I share the links as much as I can. By the way, for all of you guys over there on Rumble, I don't push every single link individually on Rumble, but I do have the WordPress for you guys. Every single link to every single story that we're covering on the show, they are put on there on a very simple, just a list of links on my WordPress every single day for you guys. So keep that in mind. That's a resource that I put out there for everybody. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the news of the day, fam. We still have a lot to cover here. From Daily Caller, we have more updates regarding the shooting that happened in Providence. So Providence Police Chief still can't answer basic question about Brown University shooting. Colonel Oscar Perez, Providence Police Chief, said on Wednesday that he still did not know the number of students who were in the classroom during a Saturday shooting at Brown University. A gunman opened fire in an engineering building classroom on Brown's Providence campus during final exams, killing 2 and wounding 9. During a press conference, a reporter noted 5 days had passed since the shooting and asked Perez if he could answer how many students were there during the incident, but he was unable to. That's all part of the interviews, and actually we're cooperating with Brown to get the roster. That was a study hall, so we don't have the number, Perez said. We're still getting information as far as who was there. I know Brown sent out an email to the students to notify us if they were present, and we're still getting that. So I can't give you an exact account now. The shooting killed Ella Cook, a sophomore student and vice president of the Brown College Republicans, and Mohammad Aziz Umurzakov, an Uzbek national. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name out of respect. Brown University instructor Joseph Oduro told the New York Times that he was wrapping up his economic study session when the shooting broke out, leading him and roughly 20 other students to hide behind a desk. Oduro said there was around 60 students at the study session. Authorities moved to release a person of interest they arrested on Sunday after the FBI pursued a local police lead to arrest the initial person of interest in Coventry, FBI Director Kash Patel wrote on X earlier that day. Moreover, NBC 10 WJAR's Dan Jainig confronted Brown University's president, Christina Paxson, during a Saturday press conference for saying she did not know what was occurring in the classroom where the shooting took place. President, with all due respect, 6 hours after the shooting, and you said you don't know what was going on in that classroom, Jainig asked. How does that happen? Were they taking an exam? Were they meeting for a club? The reporter pressed. When Paxson repeatedly said she was uncertain, Jainig replied it was kind of concerning that she lacked the information, which it is. The Providence Police Department did not immediately respond to the Daily Caller News Foundation's request for comment, but there it is. Once again, from dailycaller.com, showing that earlier on in the day, at least, this investigation was not doing too well, man. Not doing too well, but they did have some breakthroughs, and we'll go ahead and kind of report some of that as well. Next one from the National Pulse. So this is where the turning point kind of was in the investigation. Police uncovered DNA evidence and fingerprints in the Brown University shooting. So, DNA evidence and fingerprints have been successfully recovered from the scene of Saturday's deadly shooting at Brown University. According to Providence Police Chief Colonel Oscar Perez, forensic investigators found physical evidence and were in the process of examining that evidence. And yes, we have some DNA that we manipulated, and so it just progresses every day, Perez said, adding it progresses every day with forensics, it progresses every day with witness statements, and so yeah, we're just trying to find out, and we are going to do our best. Since Saturday, police in Rhode Island have repeatedly re-examined the crime scene and the surrounding neighborhood in an effort to identify the gunman. An initial person of interest that was detained shortly after the deadly attack was subsequently released after it was determined they were not connected to the shooting and that left 2 Brown University students dead. Law enforcement sources speaking to the media have stated that in addition to the DNA evidence, fingerprints were also lifted from the shell casings. Meanwhile, Rhode Island officials were also seeking public assistance in identifying a second individual who they believe was in close proximity to the suspected shooter before the attack and may be able to help provide additional details about the gunman. So there it is. That's kind of where the turning point happened, right? They lifted fingerprints from some shell casings. They found some DNA evidence at the scene. And next story here, I believe the next story that we have on this is reporting that they finally identified the suspect. So person of interest in Brown University shooting has been identified. The person of interest connected to the Brown University shooting scene in the grainy surveillance video released by Providence Police has been identified, according to CBS News. The search for the man seen in the surveillance videos is still underway, so although they have identified him, they have not yet arrested him, which is really what they're working towards. CBS News reported a person of interest has been identified in the shooting at Brown University that killed 2 students and wounded 9 others. Multiple sources familiar with the investigation told CBS News on Thursday. Law enforcement has identified the person who has been seen in grainy surveillance footage, and a search for that individual is underway, the sources said. A video released on Tuesday, though blurry, was the clearest picture of the person of interest released so far. The image appeared to be digitally enhanced. John Mulvaney, an FBI veteran of 26 years and the managing director of CBIZ Forensics Consulting Group, told CBS News Boston the footage appeared to show the person of interest casing the neighborhood. 2 students were killed and 9 others critically injured after a gunman opened fire at Brown University on Saturday afternoon. I'm sure you guys all already knew that information. Law enforcement on Tuesday released a new timeline and footage of a person of interest in the deadly Brown University shooting. The footage shows a portly male walking past police just minutes after the shooting that left 2 people dead. Police also released enhanced footage of the masked person of interest walking on the sidewalk. So there is that, once again, from thegatewaypundit.com. Hopefully they will be able to make this arrest quite quickly. So there it is, fam. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and continue on, and here's a link for you guys out there. And we'll move on to the next one here, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Police are investigating possible link between Brown University shooting and MIT professor's murder. Real quick, before I do jump in here, no, I'm not going to do my whole next article in the Jarl. That's asking way too much, Andy Joanne. I feel like we lose everybody if we did that. Let me go ahead, though, and take a look at live chat and see if anyone out there has anything interesting to share when it comes to this whole situation. Looks like we are caught up on pilled.net chat. So we'll go over to Rumble here and see what they're saying, guys. All right. Oh, there's more mRNA vax freaking spammers, of course. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't even see it. Let's see if there's any interesting comments over there on Rumble. Look at Obama's old speeches. He was a community organizer from nowhere. It was a total psyop. Yeah, that kind of popped into my head as well. That lady we were talking about, that Pridhi Patel person, I believe is what her name was, that we were covering a little while ago. Yeah, he was also a community organizer like her, and that kind of did pop up in my mind. Red Pill 78 Wife says, hit the like for Pixels. Let's see how many people actually did that. 56. That's pretty darn good, man. Thank you guys for hitting that thumbs up. I appreciate it. Let's see. I was headed over to watch The Fall of Minneapolis. Suddenly I'm here. Well, hopefully you're enjoying. Somebody needs to ask him about his nephew. Whose nephew? Pixels, you should change your handle to Pixels, the breakdown. Thanks for the shout out. Maybe I should change my handle to Pixels because nobody can spell Season Pixels. Like, nobody knows, like, what the deal is. It's been a problem for many years now. So I don't know, maybe I should. It's just that, I don't know, it's been my username for so long, and it's just kind of like a sentimental thing that I've been holding on to, I guess. Let's see. Fix your handle. Again, you seem wholesome, and Zach and Lisa like you. I like Zach and Lisa. They're wonderful people. I miss Zach, man. I haven't been able to hang out with Zach as many times as I would have liked to. A few times, though, that, like, Adam Nero of 402 Productions was up here in Michigan hanging out with me. Like, Zach, while he was still living up here in Michigan, he did a couple times, I think, come and shoot some guns with us, which was really, really fun. So, Zach, if you're listening, we need to get a range day going again one of these days. Maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to fly down to Florida one of these years and shoot some guns with you down there, man. That'd be really fun. Will be really, really fun. Let's see what else. He's been doing this about as long as Zach. Nice young man. Yeah, I've been at it for a long time, guys. A long, long time. You'd think they'd have high-tech surveillance with all the money they have, and what? 120 police and security? Yeah, that's the other thing, and President Trump brought this up the other day. Why did that campus not have cameras all over the place, right? It's wild, man. that that this manhunt has taken so long. It took them so long just to identify the suspect because the college basically didn't take security seriously at all. You'd think they'd have cameras all over the place, considering what happens on college campuses these days. Let's see. Yeah, they got to use those grainy NASA cams like they do on Mars. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Unfortunately, like, good quality CCTV cameras are unbelievably expensive. I don't know why, but yeah, when a college has a budget and they're looking at these like 4K, like super good, like, you know, a nice, you got a nice quality sensor on it and everything, a good lens and everything. Like, you're not even talking about a CCTV camera anymore. You're talking about like a legit camera at that point, and they get real expensive real fast. Red Pill 78 Wife says, give Season Pixels a follow with a $5 Rumble Rant. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. And yeah, if you guys can give me a follow. I cover news Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And sometimes, I think my record is we covered like 60 stories in a single episode. People were extremely informed after that one, I can tell you that. And my brain was totally broken. I was so drained after that. TNTND says, did you see the asshole senator from Rhode Island that said, don't ask questions about the investigation, just shut up? Most Americans would say, go F yourself, Senator. That's wild, man. That is absolutely freaking wild. I did not actually hear about that. But yeah, that's insane, man. The police chief nephew got arrested for trafficking massive amounts of fentanyl, 20 years in prison. Is that true? You mean, connected to this whole Brown University shooting? You're saying the police chief of Providence? Is that true? That's interesting. A lot of people call him Seasoned Pickles. Yes, but Pixels has been around a long time. Indeed, since I want to say summer of 2018 is when I got involved. So yeah, it's been years. All right, there it is. Hopefully, you guys out there have enjoyed the interaction on chat. All right, we'll go ahead and continue on. And yeah, another really great point by Andrew Jawashir. I think I said that. Andrew J was here. Oh, Andrew J was here. There we go. That guy, I'm stupid, guys. With tuition costs alone, why government funded? And yet, you'd think with the unbelievable tuition costs in this country that Brown University would be able to plaster cameras at like every angle of every building of every like on their campus, but apparently not. Apparently not. All right. Subpack Vet says another DM from Western Journal. Not sure if you have time for that today, though. Yeah, I may have to put it off to tomorrow, guys, because I'm not even at the halfway mark yet, and it's 7:47. So, yeah, we're on crunch time now as far as getting this news out there for you guys. J2 Dank out there with 1,000 gold pills says, we appreciate you, Pixels. Thank you very much, J2 Dank, for the 1,000 gold pills, my friend. I really appreciate that generosity there, and I appreciate you right back, my friend. Two-wheeler rider out there with a can says, don't change handle if some can't handle, they're retarded. Much love to you, two-wheeler rider. That might be a little bit harsh, my friend, but I appreciate the sentiment. I don't know. I love my handle. It's nerdy and almost Native American in a way, like Seasoned Pixels, Dances with Wolves, right? Like that's how I came up with the username to begin with. And I don't know, man. It's just so me. I'd feel really sad if I had to change it. If I had to change it, man, I'd feel really sad. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back into it. From ZeroHedge.com, finally moving on to a different topic here. U.S. judge plans to block hundreds of Trump administration layoffs. Actually, I didn't even cover this freaking story. Getting ahead of myself. Going back here, let's go ahead and cover the damn story before we move on. Police are now investigating a possible link between the Brown University shooting in Rhode Island and the murder of an MIT professor approximately 50 miles away in Brookline, Massachusetts. An MIT professor was fatally shot in his Brooklyn home on Monday night. Brooklyn? I don't know. Guys, at this point, literally, the Gateway Pundit just like keeps me guessing all the time. I don't know if they're effing up here or if I just don't know of the place called Brookline. 47-year-old Nuno Loureiro, a nuclear science and engineering professor, was shot multiple times, according to police. Loureiro was transported to a Boston hospital and died Tuesday morning. A neighbor told CBS News that they heard 3 loud bangs on Monday night. A suspect was not immediately taken into custody. Loureiro's murder came just 2 days after a gunman opened fire on students at Brown University. 2 people were killed and 9 others critically injured in a shooting at Brown University. On Thursday, CBS reported that the authorities know the identity of the person of interest connected to the Brown University shooting, which we just talked about there for a moment. It is also being reported that police are investigating possible links between the 2 fatal shootings, which, what could the links be, possibly? This is getting very kind of head-scratchy, right? And then also, like, what are the motives for this? Like, was this like just a random act of violence, or was there something else to this? That's what I've been wondering personally. Was there a motive behind this? And somebody out there says it is Brookline, so thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, my friend. Red Pill 78 wife says criminally undersubscribed. Thank you, man. Thank you. I called you a man. Look at me go. Misgendering a friend of mine's wife. Look at me go. Yeah, apparently I'm criminally intellected as well, my friend. But thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say. I can't believe I just misgendered your wife, Red Pill. I apologize for that one. Oh my God. By the way, something really funny happened earlier. I was covering, there was a first story of the day, guys. I shit you not. No pun intended. You'll see why I said that. There was a Fartgate that happened on CNN. There was a Fartgate, I swear. Guys, I'll share the link for you guys on Rumble. You guys got to see this. The link that I put in Rumble, they have this video embedded in the article. Listen to the video. It's about at the 1 minute mark. Fartgate. Okay? Harry Enton does this right here. He's doing this little lean down thing. I don't know if it's Harry Enton that farted or if it was Katie Bolduin, but there was a fart that just, like, exploded on air on CNN. It was freaking hilarious. You guys gotta hear it. So open that in a new tab, take a listen, take a gander at that clip, and come on back. I guarantee you it will make your day, okay? So, was it Swallows well? That's a good question. All right. All right, guys. Yeah, get the bows pumping for that Fartgate, man, because it's on, man. I would recommend going to about 50 seconds in, and then just take it. Just listen carefully, man. There's like a full on like it was hilarious, man. You guys got to hear it. Okay. Getting back to the news. I'm just all over the place today, guys, so I apologize for that. Hopefully, though, at least you guys are entertained. I'm the one that's supposed to be entertaining. Hopefully, you guys are the entertained ones. Yeah, I'm just all over the place, guys. CBS News reported law enforcement is investigating possible connections between the mass shooting at Brown University on Saturday afternoon and the targeted killing of an MIT professor 2 days later, sources tell CBS News. Prior, multiple sources familiar with the investigation at Brown University told CBS News on Thursday that a person of interest has been identified in the deadly mass shooting. Law enforcement has identified a person and a search for that individual is underway, the sources said. So again, I look forward to hearing about any possible motive in this shooting, and I look forward to hearing like what exactly the link between the two they think could possibly be is as well. Really interesting stuff indeed. And yeah, we'll move on from the story here, but there it is. That's all we've got on the Brown University shooting, my friends. Next one here from ZeroHedge.com. A U.S. judge plans to block hundreds of Trump administration layoffs. So yet again, another crazy Marxist ass clown out there in a black robe that thinks they're the president of the United States. We'll go ahead and cover this here in a moment. Hangover Gang says, peace and native, if I'm not physically here, J2 Dank always has season pixels on. Right on. I appreciate you guys out there. Some of you guys out there are just like such mega fans of the show, and like I just so appreciate you guys, man. Hangover Gang out there with an extremely generous fleet. My goodness, Hangover Gang. Thank you very much for the extreme generosity there. There's ship number 1 sailing on by, and ship number 2 making its way to the Foxhole dock right behind it. Once again, Hangover Gang, thank you so much for the fleet. And then Hangover Gang out there with 863 gold pills, the tradition pills for the day. Thank you so much, Hangover Gang, once again, for the 863 gold pills, my friend. We'll throw a phone on there and some raining gold pills. So there it is. All right. Once again, guys, thank you so much for the amazing support tonight. We're at 78% to the goal for the day, and we still have pretty decent numbers over there on Rumble. So thank you guys, the 300 of you guys that stuck around. There was 800 at some point, so at least I kept 300 of you guys out there. Hopefully you guys are enjoying. I guess if you're still here, you probably are. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston stated during a court hearing that she would block the Departments of State and Education from moving forward with approximately 250 and 150 layoffs, respectively. The decision comes after a lawsuit filed in October by unions challenging the Trump administration's plans to shrink the federal workforce. Ilston also noted she would require the rehiring of about 300 employees laid off amid the 43-day shutdown that began on October 1st at the State Department, Defense Department, General Services Administration, and Small Business Administration. The chaotic nature of these layoffs has been continuing and has affected employees of the government in many ways, including loss of potential alternative jobs and loss of health care coverage, Ilston said. She said she would issue a formal written order later Wednesday, but anticipated postponing enforcement until next week to provide the government time to appeal her decision. Ilston said she was concerned about causing whiplash for workers who have dealt with multiple layoffs and reinstatements already this year. The ruling comes after a continuing resolution passed last month, preventing agencies from imposing layoffs until January 30th. The Trump administration argued that the ruling did not apply to cuts announced prior to the October 1st shutdown, but Ilston concurred with the unions, including the American Federation of Government Employees. The lawsuit, first filed in October, sought to prevent more than 4,000 layoffs across all agencies. Ilston previously stayed a restraining order in response to the union's request, arguing that it is far from normal for an administration to fire line-level civilian employees during a government shutdown as a way to punish the opposing political party, before referencing comments made by President Donald Trump on social media. In late October, Ilston extended an indefinite block on thousands of layoffs during the shutdown, which followed a temporary injunction earlier that month stopping shutdown-related layoffs. She then expanded the block on layoffs during the shutdown. She expanded the block to employees represented by the National Federation of Federal Employees, the Service Employees International Union, and the National Association of Government Employees. Her original October 15th order had applied only to members of the American Federation of Government Employees and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, the unions that filed the lawsuit. The American people selected someone known above all else for his eloquence in communicating to employees that you're fired, Assistant Attorney, U.S. Attorney Michael Velchik said at an October 28th hearing. This is what they voted for. Yes, that was freaking based. Michael Velchik out there says the American people selected someone known above all else for his eloquence in communicating to employees that you're fired. So there's that. That's freaking awesome, dude. The "you're fired" line stems from Trump's time on the reality television series The Apprentice. If anybody didn't get that reference out there, then they need to crawl out from underneath the rock that they're living under. He used the catchphrase regularly. In May, Ilston prevented mass layoffs at the Department of Education, a move the administration tried to stop but chose not to appeal to the Supreme Court after withdrawing an attempt to do so. So there is that. Once again, guys, from ZeroHedge.com. And I will keep you guys updated on this lawsuit. Sounds to me like this judge is going to do everything in her power to be a major thorn in the side of President Trump. Eventually, though, through appeals and, this case making its way in front of judges that aren't Marxist-ass clowns, I'm sure we'll see the Trump administration come out on top. So there is that. Uncensored Abe says his boss doing a speech tonight. Not that I heard. I know that yesterday he did a speech. We played that as well. I have not heard if he's doing a speech tonight, though. Does anybody out there know? Does anyone out there know if the president will be speaking tonight? And if he is, then at what time? Depending on that, we will see, I guess, if we can play that. Real quick here, I'm seeing a lot of stuff going on over in the Rumble chat, man. You guys are killing it over there. All right, let's see. This is how you appear on Rumble, the breakdown with Seasoned Pixels. Yeah, it should. It should show up as the breakdown with Seasoned Pixels, because I separated out. So I have a channel. It's weird the way Rumble works. It's like you have an account, and then you've got like channels connected to that account, and I just decided to make like every episode of the breakdown like its own type of thing. Because I do other things sometimes. Like sometimes I do gaming, sometimes I just hang out with chat, so on and so forth. So I wanted to kind of sequester the breakdown into like kind of its own channel, which I guess is what we're doing over on Rumble. But is that the wrong way to do it? Let me know. And real quick, it looks like Red Pill 78 wife out there has been throwing a bunch of support at me. Yeah, here we go. Red Pill 78 wife says it is now a monthly supporter. So thank you so much, Red Pill 78 wife, for becoming a monthly supporter. And then Red Pill 78 wife out there gifted 5 subscriptions to the Breakdown with Season Pixels. Thank you so much, Red Pill 78 wife, for the generosity there. I really, really appreciate that. And shout out to all of you guys out there that got those memberships. I appreciate you guys out there. I do not want to talk like this because in Canada, well, we have to keep our head down. I can understand that, man, and that's one of the things that's honestly been like disturbing me so much about like Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, many other places in Europe. Like basically the rest of the West, other than the United States, is just completely and utterly losing their mind. People are losing fundamental freedoms. They're being thrown in prison for basically having opinions the government doesn't like, and it's really getting very, very, very scary out there for Canadians, for people in the UK, for people in other countries. And it's been something that's been really, really weighing on me, man. It's really, really been weighing on me. And I think, honestly, the Trump administration needs to start throwing their weight around big time when it comes to those countries that are literally subjugating their own people. That's the way I see it. These countries are not only betraying, but subjugating and persecuting their own people. And prioritizing foreigners over the well-being of their own people. It's unbelievably freaking evil as far as I'm concerned, and incredibly disturbing. So my heart goes out to everybody out there that's like going through that, or like lives in a country that you feel like you can't freely speak your mind. It's just horrible, man. It's absolutely horrible, and I really do hope that at some point in time, the entire West, not just the United States, but the entire West can throw off this nonsense. Ravelin out there, I hope I'm saying that properly, with a $17 Rumble rant, says, nice to see you on Rumble, best wishes. Thank you very much for the beautiful comment there. I really appreciate the $17 Rumble rant, my friend. Again, thank you for the comment, and best wishes to you as well, and Merry Christmas to everybody out there. We're cutting it real close to Christmas, and it feels like it's just coming at me at freight train speed, and the time is just flying. It's going to be Christmas before we know it, so Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Jeremy Libby out there gifted 1 subscription to the Breakdown with Season Pixels. Again, thank you very much, Jeremy Libby out there, and that was grabbed by Ellie Mae 1228. So once again, much love to you guys out there, man. All right. Canada's not a real country. A lot of these British Empire countries are not sovereign at all. I would agree with that. I would totally agree, man. More like they're captured territories that pretend to be countries, right? No offense to any Canadians out there. I think it's a very sad situation, very unfortunate, but true nonetheless, my friend. True nonetheless. All right, my friends. Once again, thank you so much for the amazing support tonight. You guys have just been absolutely freaking killing it out there. Let's go ahead and continue on. Next story here comes out of the Gateway Pundit. President Trump signs an executive order reclassifying marijuana. I will do a poll. We have a lot of viewers out there today, which is not normal for this show. Over the years, it's really fallen off in viewership. But since I have so many of you guys out there, please do me a favor. If you like what President Trump did with marijuana today, put a big fat 1 in the live chat. If you do not like what President Trump did with respect to marijuana today, put a 2 in the live chat. And let's see how those come in. I just want to see like the rough ratio between 1s and 2s, because it seems that it's slightly controversial, but it looks like more positive reaction to this than negative so far, what I'm seeing out there. So it's interesting. And there we go. We got the 1s coming in already over there on Rumble. So interesting. I'm not seeing a single 2 yet. I'm seeing a lot of weed gifts over there on Build. You guys are having lots of fun with this one. Look at that bull on R4 Cents, man. Look at that sucker. My goodness. Man, you guys are making me want to toke up a little bit here. And that's something that many of you guys out there may not know about me. I've been known to enjoy a little puff puff pass. I don't do it, though. I only do it like at the end of the day when I've gotten all the things that I need to do done, because I turn into I get a little derpy, I guess, and chores and stuff like that just are awful when you're under the influence of marijuana. Maybe somebody out there has the opposite effect on them, and hey, more power to you, man. But for me, I got to get all my shit done before I toke, or I'm screwed, man. Can't focus. All right, let's go ahead and see what this is all about from the Gateway Pundit. President Trump on Thursday signed an executive order reclassifying marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. Marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered, President Trump said in the Oval Office. Prescription painkillers have legitimate uses, but also can do damage, Trump said. I promise to be the president of common sense. That's exactly what I am doing. President Trump emphasized that he is not legalizing marijuana for recreational use. He said, quote, I want to emphasize that the order I'm about to sign is not the legalization or does it legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. It has nothing to do with that, Trump said. So, good stuff there. Starbucks says exactly pixels. So, people out there have my same experience. You got to get all your things done before you smoke, man. Otherwise, it's like, oh, man, I smoked. Now I got to do all that stupid shit that I don't want to do. It's like, makes it way worse, dude. R4 Cents out there with the I Know. That was a fun night, man. That was in Pittsburgh, wasn't it? Pittsburgh? At that brewery? Yeah, I remember we went outside and we smoked a few times. Somebody there, no, it was Spaz. Spaz there. Spaz, if you're out there, man, you got me so hammered, bro. Spaz gave me freaking peppermint schnapps. I did not know how strong that shit was. I thought it was like 25-30% because that's what it tasted like. No. This was like some crazy, like 50% freaking crazy shit that Spaz brought in like an Aquafina bottle, and he just hands it to me. Spaz got me so hammered, guys. So hammered. Shout out to Spaz out there. He's a great guy. But yeah, that night he got me unbelievably hammered. Fun times, guys. Fun times. J2 Dank out there with the cookie. Thank you very much for the cookie, J2 Dank. And J2 Dank with the can. Once again, thank you very much, J2 Dank, for the can. Once again, guys, thank you for the support so much. Jeremy Libby says 100 proof schnapps. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah, that was a mistake. I should not have drank what he gave to me in that bottle. I didn't know, guys. I didn't know. It should just be legal if you got a good head and sound mind. It does wonders. If you're already messed in the head, you probably shouldn't take stuff your brain can't handle. I agree with that, like, so strongly. Like, that was a perfectly worded statement right there. I could not agree with you more. And it looks like we have all ones out there except for one. True Deplorable out there says 2 government control. Interesting. So, if you can, like, elaborate on that and maybe tag me so I see it. Who knows if I will see it? I might just forget about it because I might just start covering the news and get super into that again. I tend to do that, guys. But yeah, interesting. So I saw 1, 2 out there. The rest of everybody seems to be pretty happy about this. And that's been pretty consistent with actually what I've seen out there on the interwebs today. So yeah, I guess I'm not really surprised at the results of the live chat. Thank you guys all for participating in that snap poll that came out of nowhere on the show here. Let's go ahead and check out the clip, man. This is actually 27 minutes long. Probably don't want to play the entire thing because it's a big freaking time sink, especially considering how much news we have left to cover tonight. But I will at least go ahead and we'll play at least part of this. And maybe we can actually get it straight from the White House so that we don't have to pause it and worry about YouTube being YouTube and all that stuff. So let me see if I can get this from the White House here. The White House. And sorry if you guys can hear me typing. I have a very mechanical keyboard. Streamed 5 hours ago. I do believe this is the one directly from the White House. So we'll go ahead and play this clip. We'll hear what President Trump has to say about this. And then we will move on to the next story here. And hopefully I'm not annoying you guys with my extreme energy today. I don't know what got into me today, guys. Honestly, I didn't really sleep that well last night, but I just have tons of energy. I feel very silly. I was yarling on the show earlier like I was part of Creed or freaking Pearl Jam. Then I was joking about Fartgate on CNN, and then I sent that to you guys over there, and then I just, I don't know, I just keep losing track of myself, and I just hope at the very least it's very entertaining to you guys out there. I'm basically full-on freaking ADHD today, so hopefully you guys are enjoying the chaos. Anyways, let's see. This was at the White House earlier. Let's play it.
I did the pilots. They're pretty amazing. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
Thank you very much. Well, this is a big day in many reasons, really for many reasons, and I have a very distinguished group of people behind me, mostly medical people and brilliant people, and they really know what they're doing. And I just want to thank them. They truly gave their lives in terms of the time and all of the incredible work they've done over the years in arriving at the position they have now, most respected people in the country. Today I'm pleased to announce that I will be signing an executive order to reschedule marijuana from a Schedule I to a Schedule III controlled substance with legitimate medical uses. We have people begging for me to do this, people that are in great pain. For decades, this action has been requested by American patients suffering from extreme pain, incurable diseases, aggressive cancers, seizure disorders, neurological problems, and more, including numerous veterans with service-related injuries and older Americans who live with chronic medical problems that severely degrade their quality of life. And it's so really, I mean, I can't tell you, I think I probably have received more phone calls on this, on doing what we're doing. I don't think I received any calls on the other side of it, but hopefully this reclassification, which by the way polls at 82%, will help many of those patients live a far better life. We're joined today by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's doing a fantastic job, Administrator of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, Director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and the Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, Dr. Nora Valkow, as well as Dr. Ilana Braun from the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Duke University's Dr. David Casaret, the National Commander of the American Legion, Dan Wiley, and my friend Howard Kessler. Howard, how are you feeling?
Great.
I'm telling you, he looks better than he did 20 years ago. But I don't want to go through what you went through to get there.
Okay.
Right? But it looks like you're doing great. I'm proud of you. I want to emphasize that the order I am about to sign is not the legalization, or it doesn't legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. It has nothing to do with it. Just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but can also do irreversible damage and never, if you look at some of the damage that can be caused, wreck lives, and if it's abused, it's never safe to use powerful controlled substances in recreational manners, and especially in this case, if you take a look, illegal and unregulated drugs, very, very bad thing. So I've always told my children, don't take drugs, no drinking, no smoking, and just stay away from drugs. I have been, they would look at me and they said, Dad, would you stop saying that? I would say it every time I looked at it practically. Young Americans are especially at risk, so unless a drug is recommended by a doctor for medical reasons, just don't do it. At the same time, the facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered. In some cases, this may include the use as a substitute for addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers, and they cause tremendous problems. This can do it in a much lesser way, can make people feel much better that are living through tremendous pain and problems. 40 states and multiple U.S. territories have already recognized the use of medical marijuana. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, I believe. We're also asking Congress to reconsider its classification of hemp-derived CBD to ensure seniors can access CBD products they have found beneficial for pain and other reasons. Some people are literally dying, and they're dying with tremendous pain, and this can, in many cases, literally stop it. And they have their senses about them, as opposed to painkillers, which don't allow that, don't allow them to die with dignity, frankly. I promise to be the president of common sense, and that is exactly what we're doing. This is really something having to do with common sense. And it's something having to do with the fact that so many people that I respect ask me to do it. People that are having problems, big problems. They are having big problems with illness, with cancer in particular. I now want to ask Dr. Oz to say a few words, followed by Dr. Braun, Dr. Casseret, Dan Wiley, and Dr. Valcow. And we'll sign the order as soon as they're complete. And we'll take some questions. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for always bravely pushing for common sense change, as you call it. So President Trump, Secretary Kennedy have been pushing for change. They're passionate in their desire to help the American people, and they have relentlessly pursued this agenda throughout this administration. This also includes a deep passion for research, gold standard research, as Secretary Kennedy also says. But there's another side to the president that often isn't reflected in media reports, and that's the deep passion he has for the people in his life. And he has called me frequently about the people who are calling him, as he alluded to, who are saying that they've got problems and they got relief from some of the solutions we're talking about today. Howard Kessler, who's standing behind me here, who's a mutual friend of ours, was an early caller of the president. Many others have ever reached out as well. And Howard's been a passionate advocate for avoiding narcotics, especially in seniors, and particularly seniors suffering from cancer. And that's a population that is a very important one. And it's a sympathetic population that's desirous of trying new ways besides some of the conventional approaches that have been tested by pharmaceutical companies but have untoward side effects. At the beginning of the year, one of the first things the president told me, he doesn't actually tell you, he demanded from me, that my agency, CMS...
Nobody demands from him. No. Nobody. You have to know him.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Use the whole tools at his wherewithal to find a better way to help seniors. A passion for a population that has gotten left behind with these discussions. I promised that we would find an answer, even though it had not been done before. And today we are delivering on that promise. Today, our Innovation Center at CMS is announcing a new model and additional actions to give seniors access to cannabinoids. These are CBDs. They're non-addictive, which many are already using to manage pain. There's some clinical evidence that's showing that CBDs provide relief from common conditions that affect Americans, including cancer symptoms and chronic pain and a slew of other problems that affect disproportionately seniors and our veterans. And 6 in 10 people who use the CBDs report that they improve their pain. I think all of those people are calling the president, judged on the number of calls in support of what we're doing today. And sometimes these decisions are difficult, and there's a reason this hasn't happened before, and there's a reason, Mr. President, that every president before you has whiffed on this issue. It's tough. And I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. That's why we're so passionate about making it clear that this patchwork that we're working within now, the laws and regulations, they're leaving patients and doctors without adequate guidance on the safeguards of how to use these products, even though they're still being used. At Medicare, we cover 68 million Americans, including people under the age of 65. And they did not have a way of providing these treatments until today. With the president's insistence, that's all changes. The Innovation Center models are going to allow millions of Americans on Medicare to become eligible to receive CBD as early as April of next year, and at no charge, if their doctors recommend them. Thanks to the hard work of the entire CMS team, especially Abe Sutton and Gita Dio at the Innovation Center, the accountable care organizations in this country working in Medicare will be able to provide these products, again, at no cost to patients. Medicare Advantage insurers, and we've been calling them, are also agreeing to consider CBD to be used for the 34 million Americans that they cover. If you can hear my voice and you're over 65, you should pay attention to this executive order because it's going to touch your life. Again, this all becomes active after the first quarter of next year. These CBD products must first meet local and state quality and safety standards. They must come from legitimate sources, and they must abide by other regulations of those states. With these boxes checked, patients can be eligible for up to $500 of hemp-derived products each year. This is the first government-led testing of quality and outcomes for patients across different conditions, and it delivers on the need for more data collection and research into hemp usage. CMS is going to collect data, that's our job, on the patients that are being given these products by their physicians. And in accordance with all the privacy and security regulations, we're going to analyze that data. We're going to make it publicly available to everybody to be able to analyze with us. If it shows promise, we will expand access to these products to even more conditions amongst Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries. I want to thank not just the Secretary.
All right, so there's that. That kind of gives you the rundown on what the executive order does here. President Trump is reclassifying marijuana as a Schedule 3 drug rather than a Schedule 1. Now, while it was Schedule 1, it basically was alongside heroin as drugs that were considered, to have zero medical benefit whatsoever. We now know that when it comes to marijuana, that is just a laughable statement. So President Trump, I do believe, as he said, this is a very, very much common sense policy here. I also see this as President Trump sticking his thumb into the eye of Big Pharma, which is I'm always for. That's always a very good thing as well. So overall, I would say this is a great move by the Trump administration, a move that I emphatically support, and I'm very happy to see them doing this today. So there it is, guys. Once again, from thegatewaypundit.com, some big news today coming out of the White House. Next one here comes from Breitbart. Inflation unexpectedly tumbles to 2.7%, which is much better than expected, and core inflation falls to the lowest since early 2021. So it would seem that the economy is starting to slowly make a turnaround here out of the Trump administration. Did I say trunk? Do you guys remember that? Trunk? We need you back, Trunk! We need you back, Trunk! We need to get that bread! Oh my goodness, that was a funny video. If anybody out there can find the trunk video, let me know. I'll play that shit. All right, so inflation unexpectedly fell in November, providing relief to U.S. consumers and supporting President Trump's contention that the inflation crisis that began during his predecessor's administration has been overcome. The Consumer Price Index rose 2.7% from a year ago, the Department of Labor said, down from 3% in September and below the 3.1% forecast by economists. The report was delayed by the shutdown of the federal government that stretched from early October through mid-November. Very simple, we are making America great again tonight, Trump said in a primetime speech to the nation Wednesday. After 11 months, our border is secure, inflation is stopped, wages are up, prices are down. Consumers paid less in November for hotel stays, recreation, and clothing. Shelter prices, which include rent and a measure of the cost of residential homeownership, rose by just 0.2% over the 2-month period since the prior report, suggesting the slowest pace of inflation in nearly 5 years. Food prices rose just 0.1%, the slowest rate of grocery inflation in several months. The prior CPI report released covered September's prices. The October report was never released because the shutdown created gaps in the collection of data that the Department of Labor uses to construct the index. As a result, the government did not release month-over-month changes in the index. Compared with September, consumer prices were up a very mild 0.2%, much less than expected. Which it still means that, yes, there is some inflation. We'd love to see it go down to no inflation at all. But certainly we're moving in the right direction. Core CPI, which strips out volatile food and energy prices, rose 2.6% from a year ago. That compares with forecasts for a 3% gain. This is the lowest rate of core inflation since early 2021. Compared with September, core prices are up 0.2%. Inflation fell by more than almost anyone expected. The range of forecasts for year-over-year inflation in Econoday's survey bottomed at 2.9% for overall prices and 3.0% for core inflation. Because inflation can be volatile month to month, many economists prefer to look at annualized, longer-term trends. This is particularly the case this month when the typical month-over-month numbers are unavailable. Headline CPI rose 2.1% on a 3-month annualized basis and 2.8% on a 6-month annualized basis. Core CPI rose 1.6% annualized over the past 3 months and 2.6% over the past 6 months. Heavily tariffed categories show very little inflation, which is hilarious considering the entire mainstream media and all these economists and whatnot were saying, oh, the tariffs are going to cause massive inflation. Actually, no. That didn't actually happen. Kind of funny, huh? Core goods prices, which exclude energy and food, are up 1.4% from a year ago. Durable goods, those intended to last 3 months or more, have risen in price by 1.5%. Major appliance prices are up just 1.2%. Apparel prices are up by just 0.2%, while women's clothing prices have fallen 1%. Prices of new cars are up 0.9% and new trucks 0.6%. Most inflation continues to come from the services side of the economy. Excluding energy services, core service prices are up 3%. This includes a 3% rise in shelter prices. The Consumer Price Index measures the changes in prices paid by U.S. consumers for goods and services. It includes prices paid by consumers for domestic goods and services as well as imports. That means it reflects the effects of tariffs. The better-than-expected news on inflation was seen as providing more room for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates next year. Bond yields fell and stock futures rallied, likely because investors believed the report could lead to further easing of monetary policy. So there is that, guys. Once again, from Breitbart.com, some definitely positive economic news, which I think we've been needing for a while now. So there is that. Also, Skeptical out there, thank you for tagging me with that article. I appreciate that. After the show, I will definitely take a look at that. Did you tag me that on X? Let me know. Or you know what? I'll probably see it. No worries, my friend. I'll probably see it. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it on X, I believe. Oh no, maybe it was somebody somewhere else. Let me know where you tagged me on that. And again, thank you for sending that. I appreciate it because that did sound very interesting indeed. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on, my friends. Next one from theepictimes.com. And this will be the last story before we go ahead and flip over to pilled.net for the rest of the show. And I do really recommend you guys follow us over to pilled.net. It's an amazing, amazing community. Really, really awesome website. Tons of super awesome features on there. It's basically like a fully fledged social media and streaming site with absolutely zero censorship along political lines. So, absolutely fantastic stuff. And there are the two different links you guys can follow us over. So get ready to follow us over after this story, guys. Next, Federal Reserve Chairman will believe in lower interest rates by a lot, says President Trump. So President Donald Trump on December 17th said that the next chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve will believe in lower interest rates by a lot. I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, Trump said during a primetime address to the nation, during which he outlined his national security and economic accomplishments in the first year of his second term in office. Someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot and mortgage payments will be coming down even further early in the new year, he said. Trump on November 30th said that he had chosen his pick to replace Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, but declined to identify his nominee. Then, during an interview with the Wall Street Journal published on December 12th, the president indicated that his two top picks to replace Powell were former member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, Kevin Warsh, and National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett. He told the publication that while Warsh was at the top of his list, he had not ruled out Hassett. I think you have Kevin and Kevin. They're both, I think the two Kevins are great, Trump said. The two Kevins, guys. I think there are a couple of other people that are great, the president added. Trump also said he thinks whoever is the next chairman should consult with him on interest rates. The president, of course, has been very critical of the current central bank chief, repeatedly lambasting Powell and Federal Reserve policymakers for refusing to lower interest rates despite inflation having fallen substantially from its 2022 peak of 9%. 9%, guys. Lowering interest rates would make borrowing cheaper and boost growth at a time when labor markets have cooled and consumer confidence has slumped. Trump has said on several occasions that he believes the Federal Reserve is stifling the economy by being too slow to cut rates. Powell and some other Fed policymakers have defended their interest rate decisions, saying that price pressures remain and more time is needed to determine whether inflation is moving sustainably toward the central bank's 2% target. On December 10th, the central bank's Federal Open Market Committee voted to lower the benchmark federal funds rate by a quarter point to a new target range of 3.5% to 3.75%. The president has called for interest rates as low as 1%, a recommendation he reiterated in his December 12th interview with the Wall Street Journal. Trump said that in a year from now, he wants interest rates to be at 1% and maybe lower than that. We should have the lowest rate in the world, he said. Trump appointed Powell to lead the Federal Reserve in 2017. Powell first took office in February 2018 for a 4-year term and was reappointed for a second 4-year term in May 2022 under the Biden regime. His time as head of the Fed ends in May of 2026, which is not too far away, my friends. So there it is once again from theepictimes.com. I cannot wait for Jerome Powell to be the hell out of the Federal Reserve. I think after that occurs, we'll be seeing swift turnarounds in the economy as that mixes with the Trump policies. So awesome stuff there. Real quick, I have more thank yous to say. Subpeg Vet gifted a 1-month bronze tier subscription. Thank you for that, Subpeg Vet, as always. Very much appreciated. Valhalla claimed that. R4 Cents out there with the can says, good times. Much love to you, R4 Cents. Thank you very much for the can. And I'm having a good time too, my friends. I'm having a lot of fun with this show tonight. So, and it's all due to you guys out there. You guys have been amazing in the live chat. You guys have kept me focused and given me a good couple of laughs, and we just had a lot of fun covering the news today, guys, so thank you all. Subpack Vet gifted another 1-month bronze tier subscription, and our 4 cents out there grabbed that 1-month bronze tier. Thank you very much once again, Subpack Vet, for the 1-month bronze tier, my friend. With that being said, guys, we are going to go ahead and flip over to pilled.net for the rest of the show. Once again, guys, posted 2 articles about it and tagged you. I'm retarded and how to operate X. No worries, my friend. Thank you again for sending that over. I appreciate it. Guys, follow us over. You don't even have to necessarily sign in over on pilled.net to watch, so don't worry about that. If you guys just want to lurk, you can use that second link. It'll take you straight to my channel. However, that first link I do recommend using for those of you who have not gotten yourselves set up with a username on Pilled. That way, you can live chat with all these wonderful people out there. Not only that, but Pilled has a lot of really, really fun things you can do in live chat, like stickers. There's tons of stickers out there that you guys can kind of play with, and there's just there's also a lot of really awesome streamers on Pilled. It's a really great way to kind of find new shows that you like, and I've even found like a lot of people on Pilled that like to game, and so like we've got a little gaming group. It's just an awesome little close-knit community with tons of really awesome features, and it's all like 1,000% censorship free. And also, they rely only on their own technology to stay online, so they cannot be canceled, they cannot be taken offline. It's really quite amazing what they've built over there on Pilled. So follow us over, guys. We have a whole lot more news to get into here, and I look forward to covering the rest. The next story here comes out of the Federal Reserve. The next story comes out of the Federalist.com. And it's actually an update on Trump Media, the technology company. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Hangover Gang is asking, are you hopping off? No, we're just flipping over to Pilled.net exclusively for the rest of the show, which we're about to do. And then we'll be back to the rest of the news here in just a moment. So follow us over, guys. We're going to play a quick video here for Pilled.net. And then I'll see all of you beautiful people over there on Pilled for the rest of the show. I'll see you guys in less than 60 seconds. Here we go.
Pilled.net is proud to host The Breakdown, exclusively on the true home of free speech. To continue watching the show, we are here to help you over to Pilled. If you're new to the platform, just click on the welcome link. It will automatically walk you through signing up for your free account. If you already have a Pilled account, follow the link provided to take you directly to the Season Pixels stream. We are excited to have you join the Pilled family. And if you have any questions at all, just email support@pilled.net. Enjoy the rest of the breakdown with Season Pixels, exclusively on Pilled.net. Free speech lives here.
Indeed, free speech lives over at Pilled.net. Follow us over, guys. We'll be over there covering the rest of the news for the rest of the show, and very much looking forward to that. So I'll see you guys over there on Pilled. Much love.